Hello everyone, welcome back to another Tomato Sauce stream. Today we're going to be just kind of yapping, playing some games, you know, the usual. So we do still have MADDOX around the corner. I believe he's coming mid to late February. So, you know, we got some speculation. We did do a little bit of speculation last time, but I kind of really want to try and actually work out what might be coming out in the next box. I think it could be quite fun. I do like looking at like the stats, trying to like make predictions. I think that is always a good time. There's also a few other little bits we want to talk about. We want to talk about, obviously we just had a new speed tier list. We've just had some new Rush tournament results. We had a new episode of Rush Rivals come out with people getting new pools and bits and bobs. We did play in a Rush tournament yesterday and actually did okay. Like, we didn't do as well as we would like, and we had a really bad misplay that actually cost us like topping, but like it was still a good time nonetheless. We want to go over the new Rush Duel OCG cards. There's quite a lot we want to do, and I still want to grind more speed ladder. Basically, Rush grinding is something I don't typically do unless a new product has come out, because I don't want to like cog with an old deck. I kind of like cogging with the new stuff, and we know there's new stuff just around the corner, so I don't see a point in grinding cogs. So we're going to be playing some speed. But let's see who we have in chat. We have the Dr. Alex in the chat. Welcome, welcome, my friend. We have Duke. Latest Go Rush spoilers. Victor spoils everything. The thing is, so my response to that would be, it depends in what context spoilers are. If the spoilers are, for example, in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime Discord channel, that's where they're meant to be, right? That is where spoilers go, right? So, like, I don't see any point in being upset with that specifically. If it's other places where the spoilers shouldn't be, that's a completely different matter. But that's my point with that bit of the discussion. Anyone watch the English dub Go Rush? I have actually not. I have not watched any of the English dub yet. I don't know if I'm going to. I probably will. But, like, I don't really have, like, a huge drive to do so. Like, other than, like, I don't know, get used to the new English names or whatever. That's about it. We have Kuro-sama in chat. What is the music playing? Yeah, all the music that we play in our intro is from the Rush Duel Switch game OSTs, as Zagali said. Welcome on in, Zagali. We also have Grand, who I did miss earlier. Grand with the first. Welcome, welcome. We have Ninjetti Ursus in the chat. Hello, hello, my friend. Always good to see you. Alright, you know the drill. You can do the ×1 rewards at the gate for one new Rush Rivals card, or you can do the vertical ×2 gate reward for the 2 Rush Rival cards. Nobody goes for the ×2 rewards. Well, you know, it is what it is. Hello, Draco. Welcome on in. We got Gunkin, Suship, Shari. Hello, hello, my friend. Always with the hangry. We got Shui in the chat. Hello, Shui. We do still have our exclamation mark Shui that we did actually fix. If we can remember how to say it. Okay. Look at that. Shui in the chat, everyone. Everyone loves Shui. Who doesn't love Shui? Hi, Mr. Streamer. Hello, Zagali. So that is kind of our rundown of what we want to do today. It's just going to kind of be a little bit of everything. And it's just going to, when we run out of things to like yap, we're just going to be playing Dragonmaids. I do really like the Dragonmaids. I would like to play more Fluffles, to be honest. But I mean, there's nothing really wrong with Fluffles. Fluffles are still fine. You can still like do well with Fluffles. You can probably still cog with Fluffles relatively easily. But I just feel like their skill doesn't leave a lot of room for experimentation. It doesn't leave a lot of room for creativity. And I think that is one criticism that I think a lot of Duel Links decks has, is oftentimes it's not worth playing a deck unless it has a skill attached to it, and then the viability tends to be how good the skill is. Which again isn't inherently a bad thing, because it does mean that less played decks do see more play. But it can get a little bit not annoying, but like it can get a little bit like, oh, I really want to play X deck, but X deck hasn't got like a really, really good skill, so it's not worth doing. And it becomes like, is it even worth trying? Because like you can make anything work, right? You can just play any deck, you can use some generic skill, you can make it work, but you're going to be putting in so much effort for such little return that it's like, is it even worth it? It's like, especially if you queue into like heroes, or I mean, I still haven't really played much against the salads, but heroes specifically just feel like they can almost just turn their brain off, click buttons, and then just sometimes just win. And it's like, that isn't the worst thing in the world, but I preferred that style of gameplay back when Blue Eyes were doing that. Because Blue Eyes felt like they could do that, but they were still very beatable. Even when Blue Eyes were like at their strongest, I felt like I could play around it, I could still do very well into it. Against the new hero deck, I just feel like a lot of rogue decks don't stand much of a chance. Now, some of them will, right? I don't want to like group everything up into like, oh, hero beats all rogue decks. That's just not really what we're trying to say here. What we are trying to say is rogue decks are going to struggle more into some decks than others. Rogue decks also struggled into Lyrilisk. That was just part of what was going on. And the same thing happens in Rush. It's not a speed thing. This is exactly the same thing happens in Rush. Right now in Rush, there's only like 3 decks people play that don't have a skill. One of them is Aggro, which has all but completely vanished from the meta. Another one is Machines, which again is just kind of machine pile, and people just mix and match which skill. We've seen Legend Draw, we've seen Hammer Crush, we've seen the Join Tech one that dumps cards in the graveyard, we've seen Lightstar Fusion, I think it's called. So we've seen a bunch of different stuff with that. And then the only other deck is like Insects. And that's just because people like Insects, it's free to play friendly, and it just doesn't have a skill, right? Other than that, you just pick good skill, go, right? Time to grind gems for Kemi. Exactly, Kemi. Fluffles are good. Sous-ships can play well enough without the skill, but the contact skill isn't too OP, but it is very good for the deck. Well, Sous-ships had a skill they played. I can't actually remember what skill they used first. Then they got the contact skill, right? Which like upgraded the deck, because then they started using like the mana and stuff. I can't remember what skill they used originally. There was a skill they used before that skill came out though. So like I feel like they've been able to like kind of hop onto these skills and do quite well. I agree, either the skill is too restrictive or too lenient, where decks become too OP. Yeah, that's kind of how I feel. And again, it's kind of a case-by-case basis. It's not necessarily like a blanket thing. But like, for example, I would like to play Fluffles, and historically in the TCG, Fluffles are a very experimental deck. You mix and match different engines in it. Your end board pieces are generally very generic because the Fluffle end board pieces don't like have any interaction, right? Fluffle is a going second OTK deck. So in order to do things going first, we need generic end board pieces, which then creates, you know, the 4 end board of the Apocalypse, which is a whole other problem in its own sense. But in Duel Links specifically, if you want to use the newer Fluffle skill, you can't use, I'm pretty sure, if I remember the skill correctly, you can't use anything in the extra deck that is not a Fluffle card, or you can't special summon things to extra deck that isn't Fluffle. There was some restriction. I can't remember exactly what it was. But it was just like, okay, I get why you're doing this, but you've now, like, hindered the power level of this deck by so much that it's like, ugh. Me playing boxers facing constant spam with heroes is literally hell mode. Yeah, it's one of those things where I think, again, some metas are easier to play in than others. I have had so many ladder grinds on speed where I've had such a fun time. I've had a absolutely fantastic time playing a wide variety of decks. Absolutely loved it. When I got my cog, like my most recent cog, absolutely loved it. And that was, I think, it was either just before or just after Birds came out. But I remember like having such a fun time because the meta was so interesting. There were so many different decks. I could play around so many different decks in so many different ways. I felt like I was rewarded for like learning all these different matchups. And now, right now, it just feels like, oh, it's hero. I probably lose. I'm probably just dead. I'll do what I can. And as I play against the deck more and more, I'm starting to see more where I can interact with the deck. But like, I think just some decks just don't have the tools to do so. And again, this is not a speed unique thing. Rush has like the same kind of issues right now, where we're seeing the same 2 decks like perform really well in tournament. On ladder, we're also sort of saying one of those decks and then like another deck also like everywhere on ladder, and it does make things a little bit like I have to kind of just build to beat this specifically. I I almost lost versus Boujins the other day as heroes. I mean, that's the thing. Heroes are not infallible. They are not an unbeatable deck. They are not like the strongest deck by such a wide margin they will automatically beat everything else. But I feel like oftentimes they will just create things out of nothing. They will just almost automatically win a grind game. I don't even know if that's like the correct terminology for this. I remember at one point I had a hero player down to like 1 card left, and then like he just drew off the top and it was just like Miracle Fusion, he just won. But like, is that a fair comparison? It was Miracle Fusion. Like, if any deck drew Miracle Fusion, it's a 1 card boss monster, it's always going to be really, really powerful, right? Rush skills are pretty cool so far. They are, but again, they do have a similar thing where, again, if your deck doesn't have a skill, it feels so bad. Like, insects right now, they can manage, but like, give us an insect skill. Dinosaurs still don't have a skill. The new Thunder Fusion stuff came out. With a skill, could have actually been okay. No skill. The old Thunder skill doesn't really work very well with them, so it's just kind of skillless. I feel like there's so much you could do. Like, Beast Gear was the original one, where we were like, just give us a skill that gives us Beast Gear World, locks us into Beast Warriors, why not, right? That would be fine. Like, Beast Gear players would take that. But no, we're just not allowed anything. It's just kind of sad. A level 5 reload, which wasn't great. It wasn't great, but the deck was still doing okay. It was still topping tournaments with level 5 reload, right? The old Suship skill, put a uni back, draw a uni. I mean, you know, that's still a thing. Because, like, I guess you could say, like, the closest we have had to that recently was probably Unchained, where we had the, like, put a dark high level back in your deck, draw a card, just to, like, try and unbrick yourself. And it's, like, kind of a nothing skill, but it's better than nothing, right? Actually true. Hello, Dwan. Welcome, welcome. I'm thinking about investing in battling boxes. To be honest, they seem fun. Battling boxes look, like, aesthetically, I think they're really cool. Mechanically, I also kind of like them. And looking at the stuff they have, their individual cards also seem really, really cool. I just don't know if the skill is good enough, to be honest. I think the skill is, like, the skill is too fair, is kind of how I look at it. I would really like the skill to be a little bit more unrestrictive. Let you do it every turn. Don't put, like, weird limitations on it. Because I feel like there are so many skills that Konami are just like, nah, this one can be broken. Don't worry about it. They can use it, like, infinite times during the game. Don't even worry about it. And then other skills, they're like, no. You get this once per turn. Or sometimes once per duel. No more. Otherwise, that might become overpowered. And it's like, okay, but have you seen Heroes? And Konami's like, no. That's in a structure deck. That's got, like, a box UR that we're trying to sell. That is a get players back into the game because they're Jaden fanboys, right? That's why that one gets to be overpowered. And it's like, birds. I'm saving for new Rush Box. Yeah, Rush Box. It's actually playable just from the box. Very free-to-play friendly and decent on ladder. Just sucks against heroes. Yeah. I would really like to live in the non-hero world, but I think the nature of a free-to-play gacha game is you will just sort of naturally have one deck that dominates ladder in any format. I think that's just always going to happen. The problem is just when that one deck is oppressive, that's when it can feel really bad. I think that's why a lot of people didn't like birds, because you needed sort of specific, like, cards to deal with birds, and not every rogue deck has that. But, like, I think Blue Eyes is a good example of back when, like, that was, like, tearing up the ladder constantly and was just, like, you would run into that 9 out of 10 games. Blue Eyes felt like generic cards, just cards that every rogue deck's going to have, can just deal with it. So, like, it felt like it was playable around, play-aroundable. Whereas Heroes is kind of like, do you have, like, Compulse? Because, like, compulsing a big fusion monster is, like, always going to be good, right? That's never bad. Like, your opponent drops Rainbow Neos, compulse it, right? Like, that still works. The issue is when they get to summon out, like, 3 or 4 big fusion monsters and you just don't have enough back row to deal with it all. And then it's like, well, okay, you could play something like Needle Sealing, but now that's limit 3. You could maybe play, like, Book of Eclipse. And yeah, I mean, these are all options. These are all things that can help out, but then you've still got to out that board the following turn, which, you know, some decks can do. Some decks can't. That's just, I guess that's just part of the game, right? Boxers have a skill, is my impression of it. Buster Blader really needs their last card. Are we talking about... If we're talking about Buster Blader, there's several cards in Rush they haven't got yet, so I'm not really sure which specific one we're talking about. Whereas Seven's Road cards for Yuga fanboys. Seven's Road, though, is like... Seven's Road is a fanboy archetype, right? It is an anime... I don't know if nostalgia is the right word. It's only like 4 years old. But it is one of those decks that a lot of people really do like. It is also sort of meta-relevant. Like, Seven's Road Magician has been meta-relevant for so long. I think you could make an argument that maybe the last year, it hasn't really been relevant. And that's kind of the only time it's ever not been relevant. Which is really weird to say. I thought I'd mention to anyone interested, we just had Fantastic Four trailer launch for the first time. So I saw the teaser. I haven't seen the trailer yet, so I haven't actually watched the trailer. We might watch that on stream, actually. That is something I'm actually interested in. But I did watch the teaser yesterday. So I, probably shocked to no one, as a nerd, I like Marvel. And I like Marvel movies. I know that's probably caught some of you off guard, but I really am into that sort of shit, even though Marvel stuff's been a bit recently. You know, I'm still excited for some of the stuff that's coming out. We have got the... God, what was the next thing? Oh, Daredevil. Daredevil coming out soon. I really liked the Netflix series. But hello, Victor. Hello, Victor. I think he meant Battling Boxer, not Buster Blader. Oh, there we go. Sorry, whenever I see BB, I will always think Buster Blader. That is just hardwired into my brain. That is just stuck there. That's just always going to be the thing. Battling Boxers, I don't know... Is it Dempsey they're missing? Are they missing Dempsey still? Buster Blader has a ton of cards left in both Speed and Rush. Sucks they didn't give us their counter trap. What is their counter trap? I'm trying to think what... Because it's got counter in the name, right? It's a counter trap. Battling Boxer cross counter. So when your opponent activates a monster effect, destroy one Battling Boxer or number Xyz monster you control, and if you do negate the activation, if you do destroy that monster, then you can apply the following effects: special summon a Battling Box Xyz from an X deck with a different name than the first monster, and if you do, attach this card to its material. That's pretty good, especially if you have like a crazy one, because like, I mean, Dempsey's like really good. As is. There was the... God, was that one protection from targeting? Obviously, there's Lead Yoke, who can, like, protect from destruction, but it's only, like, itself. Like, there's quite a few... Or Lead Yoke. The casting was amazing. Yeah, I think so as well. I see. Some of my ranked games... banked gems will expire mid-February is the thing. Yeah, you're gonna have to deal with that. It's a weird one as well, because we don't know exactly when we're getting the next box. We just know that we're getting... MADDOX, right? And even then, it's not even hard confirmed it's MADDOX, but it's MADDOX. We know it's MADDOX, right? Missing the Battling Boxer counter trap. Counter trap. The trap he uses in the anime. So I have seen bits of Zexal. I have still not sat down and watched all of Zexal. I have actually never seen... Is it Dumont? I've never seen him duel. I've never seen Battling Boxers in the anime. And yet I still really like them. And in my opinion, that is the sign of a really strong archetype. When I haven't even, like, watched them on the show, but I'm still like, that looks kind of hype. And I really like that sort of thing. The trap is very solid. Holy. It's MADDOX. I read the Japanese line. What if it's not MADDOX? If it's not MADDOX, I will be a bit sad. I can't really think who else it would be if not MADDOX. MADDOX just kind of makes the most sense. But... I mean, they have to release them at some point, right? They have to release them at some point. Hello, Hikari. Welcome. What we should probably do is... It's always a weird bit. But anyway, we were talking about the speed stuff. You guys have gems expiring. I'm at like 3k gems. Oh, Alito, yes, Alito. Again, I haven't watched Zexal. Like, the reason I went back and watched the Zexal I have watched, or Zale, depending on how people like to pronounce it. I know some people get really stickly about that. Is because I absolutely loved Arc V, or Arc 5. I loved Arc 5 so much. I thought, like, Arc 5, after I was out of Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, I'd stopped playing. I was like, oh, I remember, like, 5 years ago, when I used to really like Yu-Gi-Oh! I used to watch the anime. Oh, it was so good. I used to play in tournaments. Like, really fond memories. And then I was like, oh, a new Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime season's coming out. Because I do this with every season. Every single time a new anime comes out, I give it an episode. And if the episode is good, I watch the next episode. And if the episode is bad, I go, you had your chance, Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime. You've lost me. So when I watched the first episode of Zexal, it was garbage. It was actually terrible. The main character was awful. He looked stupid. The first episode is just done very, very poorly, in my opinion. Again, I've heard that it gets a lot better. And from what I've seen, watching the odd episodes here and there, Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal does improve greatly. But its first episode is shit. And if anyone says the first episode of Zexal is good, I'm sorry. I cannot agree with your opinion. I just think you're wrong. The actual first episode, actual garbage. And I say that knowing Go Rush's first episode is also garbage. So, you know, take that for what it is. But the first episode of Arc 5, fantastic. Absolutely loved it. Got really into Arc 5, watched the whole thing. And in that, they brought in, like, some, you know, Zexal characters. I got to see Kite, and Kite was amazing. I absolutely loved Kite in Arc 5. So then I went back and watched all of the Kite stuff from Zexal, because I wanted to know more about him. Then the same thing happened in Vrains. The very first episode of Vrains is trash. It is actually garbage. Like, again, I've heard Vrains gets a lot better if you, like, give it a proper chance. One thing I'm really sick of is when I'm watching a card game anime, and I'm watching it for the card game, and then they have an introduction episode where they don't play the card game. That is the stupidest thing I think you could possibly do in your card game anime. I feel like you're immediately going to lose half the audience if you just don't show off the game. You don't have to have, like, a full-on game, right? You don't have to, like, you know, have a full-on back and forth, you know, 20-turn game where you explain all the cards. Just have it there. Just, like, show a bit of a game just to get people excited for it. It's like, come on, bro. Anyway, let's catch up with chat, since there seems to be a lot of yapping going on. The amount of times he said that line in the anime, to be surprised one of the person who said it. Dumon uses Star Serifs. Yes, that's the one. Battle and boxes are played by Alito, not Dumon. Dumon uses Star Serif. Alito, not Dumon. A lot of people like to correct that. Star Serif, I'm not a big fan of personally. Also, from what I've seen of Dumon, he seems like a bit of a tool. But again, I haven't watched the anime, so I can't really have much of an opinion. You don't want to know who uses line if you don't want to know. I already said it, guys. If not MADDOX, probably a new character for Rush Go. I can't think who else would be a Go Rush character that would use that line, though, is the thing. No Watch Zexal. It has 4. Is that 4 or IV? No, I could say the person that uses the line ain't Go Rush. The other one. Zexal, you need to take a chance and watch it anyway. Again, I've seen a lot of Zexal now. I've probably seen around 15 episodes of, like, what is it, like 130 episodes or something? So I've seen a decent chunk of it, and I actually quite like it now. The only characters that I don't really like from Zexal so far is, like, Shark, or what's his name, Reginald Castle, or whatever. I think he seems like a bit of a poser, but other than that, I've quite liked everyone else so far. But again, I've also heard that he gets a really good storyline, like, much, like, later on. So, like, I still am interested to see where that goes. Only defense is that no one has the English line. Arc V is cool. It has such a strong cast, but the story. Yeah, Arc V, don't get me wrong. I love Arc V. It still has its ups and downs. And its low lows are real low. Like, that synchro dimension. Woo, that just keeps going, doesn't it? That could have been 20 episodes shorter. And probably would have been 20 episodes better spent. But, you know, we got to take the good with the bad. We got to take the good with the bad. I still love it, though. It's in my top 3. Yeah. Zexal's amazing midway to the end. I see. Combust would be more of a MADDOX of Season 2, so it's kind of weird choice for the line. Arc V is probably my least favourite series, so I won't talk back. I mean, I think that's the thing, right? You can like and dislike stuff however you want, right? Just because I have an opinion doesn't mean you have to, like, like it or dislike it, right? Beginning is meh. Tomato. Kite is amazing. Yeah, Kite is actually incredible. I was actually really sad because we got... Right, so Kite comes in. Asta Phoenix comes in. I'm like, okay, cool. We get to see their upgraded cards. We get to see the upgraded decks. Kite uses the Cypher stuff and... what was he? Thingy Cypher Dragon. What was the full name of the card? Galaxy Eye Cypher Dragon. Which I think Galaxy Eye Cypher Dragon is such a cool boss monster. It's kind of whatever, but I really think it's awesome. And the way that he always opens like the exact custom hand to summon it every single game. And then we got to see... like Asta come in and he's using his new Destiny heroes, or Edo, depending on how we want to say it. And I'm like, okay, I've never been the biggest like Edo fan, but it's like whatever. And then they brought in Alexis, and I was like, where's Zane at? Right, we've brought Kite in. Where's my boy Zane? When are we... Imagine how... Right, I know, right, the whole, like, Zane story is a bit weird because, like, he has heart troubles and he like, has to retire from dueling and he's in a wheelchair. But how sick would it be if Zane showed up in Heartland and he's got, like, an Xyz deck, right? How sick would that be if he's just like, yeah, I've mastered Xyz summoning by coming to the Xyz dimension as well as my, like, absolute broken fusion deck. That would have just been the most fan service thing of all time, and I would have absolutely adored it. And I'm so sad that didn't happen because as soon as I saw like Asta or Edo come in with this upgraded deck, I was like, they're gonna do it. They're gonna do Zane. Zane's gonna be in it. It's gonna be really cool. And then it just never happened. And I was like, why would you do this to me? It would have been so cool. It would have been so cool. It's amazing. Vrains is good if you skip the recap episodes. Vrains is the best anime dub of all Yu-Gi-Oh! So I've watched a bit of Vrains. I haven't seen a ton of it, but I've seen a bits of it. And from what I've seen, it does seem really, really cool. I'm not sure how I feel about the whole speed duel thing, where they got the skills and the only 3 zones. But I haven't given it a fair shot, so I don't want to have an opinion on it, right? Until I've watched it myself, I don't want to say I like it or dislike it. I will just say episode 1 was shit. Like, everything past episode 1 could be incredible. I'm just saying the very first episode was awful. You have me on stream. How can you diss Vrains? Again, I'm not trying to diss Vrains. I'm just saying it had a bad first episode. Quattro is a character I have seen a little bit of. Obviously the gimmick puppet guy. He seems amazing, right? He seems like he's gonna like break and have his like Joker moment. And he seems like the exact kind of character that I would absolutely adore to watch. So I really want to watch the Quattro stuff. I just don't want to get to the point where I'm just watching bits and pieces. I want to like sit down and actually watch the whole thing at some point. That's what helps about Japanese. As someone who never cared about Zexal, if I see Kite, it means another galaxy glue that I'm sick of. I mean, that's fair enough. If you don't like it, you don't like it, right? And if seeing him like directly affects your gameplay experience, that's another thing. Tomato, can you feel the flow? No, but I can high-five the sky. So F Kite. Poor Kite. Ban this guy? Nah, we're not going to ban someone for having an opinion, but we're going to think about it. We can hover the button. That's what we can do. Herd mentality. There you go. Arc V was horrible in Season 2. It was so bad. I think bits of Season 2 were fantastic. Other bits of Season 2, not so fantastic. Like, when they had the riding duel between Shay... I don't know why I'm calling him Shay. I watched it in Japanese, but I've actually forgotten what his name was. It's Shu? It doesn't really matter. Shay Obsidian, I now know his English name for whatever reason. Versus... Oh, what was his name? The Performage guy. Dennis Macfield. When they had that duel, I was like... Yeah, this is cool. Also, the Flower Cardian guy. Absolutely loved that. Absolutely loved the Flower Cardian guy. Galaxy Ice Cypher Dragon, Neo Ice Cypher Dragon. Alright, I need to catch up. There's a lot of chat going on. Never watched the dub, so I'm used to Japanese names. It's 4. Okay. Of course, it's about opinions. Galaxy Ice Cypher Dragon, no Neo Ice Cypher Dragon. At least Edo uses some of his old cards. Very true. Although I will say this, Galaxy Meta is always funny to me because it makes BB viable. And it's always funny watching them suffer in ranked. Same with Alexis. Edo with Plasma was the shit. Oh man, Edo with Plasma. Oh. I've never been a big like Edo fan, but Plasma's cool. Or in the Japanese, bloody. Like, it's so good. It's so good. Zane in the anime, because he's mentioned with Cyber Fortress Dragon in a classroom board. Zane just summons Infinity and everyone scoops. But that would be awesome, right? Just have him never have him play against the main character. Just have him be like you guys go on ahead. I'll take care of this. And like he fights like nameless goons and just like OTKs all of them. That would actually be just amazing, right? Infinity, my beloved. Morning gang. Been a minute since I've been able to catch a stream. Hello, Kuova. Welcome on. We're yapping about anime at the moment, ironically. There's only maybe for one episode, and we do see cyber cards like that. He's longer than Chaz and Bastion. That is another thing. Chaz and Bastion got so shafted in the anime, and it's so sad because I actually think Chaz and Bastion had so much potential and were two of my favorite characters in the very first season of Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, and then got absolutely shafted, and it's so sad. Vrains has speed and master duel rules. Hello there, Mr. Tomato, your hidden boss up here. Hello, Sakadetsu, the Shadow Duelist. Welcome on in. I can't believe you survived through Sevens and not watched Vrains. So, the difference is I started Sevens after there was already a good chunk out, right? There was like 10, 15 episodes, I think, of Sevens out. So I could just watch it and then go straight on to the next one. I didn't have to wait a week for like the next thing to happen. When I watched the first episode of Reigns, it was literally brand new. So I was like, okay, we'll watch episode 1. It's the only one out. And then I went, am I going to watch episode 2? I don't think I am. I have to wait a week for it to come out. It's just not here. But to be fair, the first episode of Reigns, they basically go, I'm going to log into the like full dive internet Sword Art Online style, and then I'm going to duel on my surfboard while I surf the net. And that was a very weird concept. It was very strange. I don't think it was a strong first impression. I think, again, if they had done it as like a two-parter, if I'd watched the first and second and got that first duel, I would have been more excited for it, I think. Shun. Yes, Shun, that's the one. And there's Dennis. God, I'm really behind on this chat. I only mastered Raid Raptors because of Shun. I think Shun's a really cool character, personally. Shun versus Sora, I still think, is one of the best duels ever in Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime. Like, genuinely, absolutely fantastic. I hate Dennis, but he's voiced by my favorite Seiyu, so at least he has something good. I like Dennis. I think he was a good written character. I have a really big soft spot for Ancient Gear, not so much for Perform Age. So, like, I was a big Crowler fanboy back in the day, or Kronos. I mean, how can you not love that duel? Shay literally orbital strikes him. It's so good. It's so... Oh, there are so many, like, gush moments from all of the different Yu-Gi-Oh! Series, right? There are so many duels that they just stand out. Either because they are absolutely insane, they are like some of the hypest moments of all time, or because they just make no sense whatsoever, right? Like, I will never forget that, the one where, like, what is it, Neos and Tyranno Hasaberi, like, go into space as dual spirits and beat up a satellite. Why? Why did that happen? It didn't need to happen. They could have written that in so many different ways. They chose that. Blue D, exactly. He basically summons Bahumuto Zero and one-shot Ohio Ikari-chan. Taka, hello, wrote in the same moment. How you doing? Well. Chaz, my beloved, they done him dirty. Manga Chaz is good. Yes, Light and Darkness Dragon Chaz is so good, bro. It's so good. They could do a short GX remake, follow up the manga. Bastion and Chaz were better there. Even Bastion's deck in there was not, like, crazy. He had, like, a unique monster type, I think. But, like, all they had to do was just give them more screen time, give them better decks, and have them just, like, actually be part of the plot. Like, I kind of liked Evil Chaz, and then Chaz's whole arc of becoming a good guy was really interesting to me. Doing the whole, like, has to go to North Academy, has to build his deck out of cards he just found, wins all the way through that, plays against Jaden with the Armed Dragon deck, eventually loses, joins Sly for Red, and then the plot basically forgets he exists until the Society of Light, where it's just... I'm not gonna lie, the Society of Light arc was kind of boring for me. Like, I think it dragged a bit. It just went on too long. And I feel like the Society of Light was just them like, oh, we'll just get all these characters that everyone's kind of forgotten about that aren't Jaden. Because I think the biggest flaw of GX is it becomes the Jaden show. More so than any other series. They have like a big ensemble cast, which they like develop, and they like, look at all these different characters we have. And then they just forget about almost all of them. And they just like, yeah, Jaden's just going to win every game. Don't worry about it. Jaden's going to do it. And Jaden will save the day. And then Jaden will do this. And Jaden will do that. And it's like, I like Jaden. Jaden's fine. But you've got an ensemble cast. Let the rest of the cast do stuff occasionally, right? When are we doing a husbando tier list? Ah, mate, I don't know what I would even do for that. I don't know who would be at the top. Dark and Enjoyer, Light and Dark's Dragon, you beat Jaden. I honestly don't mind Anime Chaz. I just hate how he got shafted instead of continuing being a good comic relief that can kick everyone's butt when he wants to. Yeah, I mean, that's basically it, right? I've arrived. Hello, Pro-Manicist. Oh, no. He basically become like rival and start accepting who he are. And the anime is more like a grown person. We'll do this in class. Dino best satellite with Neos was funny but cool stuff. Part of what makes him relatable to both manga and anime ways. Shay versus Sora might legitimately be one of the best duels in all of it. Yeah, I hard agree. Shay versus Sora has everything. Like the back and forth of the game is really good. The music during the duel is fantastic. Like, the close-up zooms of both of their faces throughout the duel is incredible. The storyline behind it, the way Sora taunts Shay, everything is so peak. It is actually so peak. Plus, you get to see just, like, both of them are such... They're so similar and yet polar opposites. And it's so good. It's just so well written. It's so good. I just wish every episode was like that. But I suppose having... weaker episodes makes episodes like that stand out as being that much better. And I suppose that is like a really big thing, right? Part of Dino Beats. Agree. True. Sounds like every Yu-Gi-Oh anime when Yugi or Yusei deal with everything. So in season. So in Duel Monsters. We'll wait until the adverts just go away just to make sure. So in Yu-Gi-Oh DN, in the very first season of Yu-Gi-Oh, there isn't really an ensemble cast, right? For the most part, it's Yugi, Joey, and Kaiba. It's the three characters, and they all get decent screen time. Yugi still gets the most. Yugi still gets the most duels. Yugi still almost wins every single game. But those three characters are the only ones that we have to divvy up the duels between, really. Whenever you get a duel that's not including one of those three characters, it always feels a bit special. It's like, you're telling me this is a duel without one of these three? That's pretty cool. Then you get to like GX, and I think this was their first time doing like a proper ensemble cast where it's like, okay, we got Jaden, we got Cyrus, Chumlee. He starts in the cast, but isn't really. But again, he's a duelist. Then you've got Zane, you've got Alexis, you've got Bastion, Chaz, and that's kind of like the season 1 crew, I guess. Then when you go into season 2, more people get thrown in. Prowler becomes one of the what they called the people that like stop the Shadow Riders. I can't remember what their like good guy name was, but he's in there. Other people kind of get tossed in and out, but for the most part, even though you have this like 7 to 10 big ensemble, because again later on you get like Jesse Anderson comes in and stuff. Even though you have all these different characters, I still feel like 95% of duels is still just Jaden, which is. I think if you have an ensemble cast, make use of your ensemble cast. That's all I'm going to say, right? I think they got better at it when they got to like 5Ds because they made the number of major cast characters a lot smaller. So we actually got to see Jack Atlas in a decent amount of duels. We got to see Akiza. We got to see Luna and Leo. Luna and Leo didn't play like as much, I guess, but like they were still in a decent amount. Crow got a lot of screen time. I feel like they were better at spreading it out a bit more. I have no idea how Zexal does it, so I can't comment on that. Arc V, again, I think they had an okay split. But Arc V, it almost felt like it wasn't trying to be an ensemble cast. Because to my memory, Gong and... I can't remember what is it Yuzu? I think both of them barely got like any duels. Like they still had duels, but like not that many. But I don't, again, weren't they part of like the main cast? Like they kind of were. Sawatari was amazing, by the way. I absolutely love Sawatari so much. When you do everything, you describe what made GX dislikable to many. Same with Jaden, dislike, myself included. I mean, it's one of the, I still like Jaden. I just don't like the fact that he is always center stage. That's the only thing I don't like about Jaden. Playmaker versus I is probably the second best duel in Vrains. Well, I'll have to watch it at some point, right? I'll have to watch it. Because then I get to the awkward part of which one do I watch? Because depending on who you ask, they're like, no, you got to watch Zexal. Or no, you got to watch Vrains. And part of me is like, I should watch Zexal first because it's earlier. And if I watch Vrains first and then I go back to watch Zexal, I might be annoyed that the rules are different or that the games are slower or something. So like part of me is like, I should just watch Zexal first. Joey gets shafted. I mean, yeah, Joey's a special case, right? I mean, do you remember him in the Kyber tournament arc where he just like plays a RNG deck, gets all the bad RNG, and then just gets absolutely destroyed by Siegfried? I still think Akiza was a bit shafted, but it's definitely better than the mess they left with GX. Yeah, I mean, I think that is a fair statement. It would have been nice to see Akiza get a bit more screen time, a few more wins. Obviously, they had the whole, like, she can't do riding duels, or turbo duels, or whatever they were called in English, or versus the other one. But they tried to make that into part of the story, and it kind of worked, but in a show where they try and do 50-50 on the duels, it does just naturally mean you're going to be excluded. I mean, Leo and Luna had a similar problem, right? Where basically it became the, you know, Yusei, Jack, and Crow show. But, like, for me personally, and this might not be a popular... I don't know if this will be a popular opinion. I prefer the standing duels in 5Ds to the turbo duels. And I don't know if that's just me, or if everyone feels like that. But personally, I was like, these turbo duels... Not the biggest fan of the whole, like, speed counters and the speed spells. I was just kind of maybe just me for having Akiza being a fave. Akiza, I think, is really cool. I think she's a really cool character. Joey can be Marek and gets his Ra image Joey with his God card. The problem with that is they kind of writ the God cards in such a weird way where they basically imply if you're not good enough, you just can't play the god, it will, like, kill you, or, like, knock you unconscious or something. So, like, Joey doesn't have a Millennium item, he doesn't have any, like, ancient mumbo-jumbo helping him out, so I'm just like, ugh, what would have happened if he had that? Zexal's XC's numbers bullshit annoyed me, just making up for bad card designs. Brain skills were somewhat annoying, but at least the jewels felt closer to IRL. I mean, that's at least something, right? That's at least something. Joey got the best ace. Lava Golem. Well, I mean, Joey got put inside the cage, right? I don't know if that's, like, his ace. I'm trying to think who actually my favorite, like, anime characters are, like, in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! I mean, all right, it's easier to go through each season, right? So in DM, I think everyone likes Kaiba, right? Everyone likes Kaiba. Who doesn't love Kaiba? Who's not a Kaiba fanboy? Everyone likes Kaiba. It's gotta be Kaiba. But then, like, Pegasus, really enjoyable to watch. Every time Pegasus is on the screen, I'm always having a good time. Evil Pegasus is great. Camp Funny Pegasus is great. Pegasus is just a fantastic character in general, right? Then GX... Again, Chaz is probably my favorite. I really like Chaz. Like, he is definitely my favorite GX character, but I still really like Zane as well. Zane's a little bit, like, one-dimensional in a lot of ways, and when he, like, actively downgrades his deck into the Cyberdark deck, I was like, eh. And he's just kind of getting more edgy for the sake of being edgy, and I was like, eh. Mine is Akiza, all-time favorite because she is relatable. Also, fuck Kaiba. Kuro-sama, I feel like there's an archetype of character. There's like a type of Yu-Gi-Oh character that you just really dislike. That's what I'm kind of getting here. Cog 2 accounts, 3 mores. Let accounts sleep because this is Rush Month. Hello, Kim friend. Welcome on then. The Mato Boy. Exactly. Abridged Kaiba better than Yu-Gi-Oh Kaiba? Abridged everything is very funny. But yeah, when it comes to 5Ds, I actually think 5Ds is a little bit more difficult. So I will say, I think Japanese Jack Atlas is great. English Jack Atlas no offense to the voice actor, I can't stand his English voice. Not because I dislike the voice itself, because I hate that voice coming out of Jack Atlas's mouth. And now, again, I don't know if that's going to be an unpopular opinion. Because, again, I'm sure the voice actor is fantastic. The voice is good, just not coming out of Jack. That's where I draw the line. I do not like that. It went from Jack Atlas feeling like this really strong and imposing figure to him feeling like a comic relief character at all times. And it's just like, it's so weird. Pegasus was in GX and still make new tunes there. Yeah, in GX, he was also fantastic, right? Because we had the, what was it? The Pegasus versus Bonaparte duel? Or Pegasus versus... I'm trying to remember who he dueled now. But they dueled, like, on the GX dock. Like, the Academy dock. DM is Joey. GX is Chaz, maybe you Bell. Okay. 5Ds is Akiza. Zexal, none, because I didn't care to watch it. 5Ds is Sawatari. Well, actually, it was ArcV, Sawatari. Vrains, none, same as Zexal. So you haven't watched the same two that I haven't watched, ironically. I'm the master of faster. I'm the master of faster! But yeah, Japan Jack is better. English Jack is just Marek knockoff, voice-wise. It's just a bit weird to me. Same voice actor, just different attitude. And it does... The thing is, English Marek, I thought sounded good. He sounded imposing. He sounded like a villain. English Jack, I'm just like, everything that comes out of your mouth just sounds like a joke. It's like very strange for me. English Jack smoked as a child? It doesn't even sound like he's got like a raspy voice. It's just very Australian is what he sounds. Or like an Australian English hybrid is kind of what it sounds like. Mimi is best character in all seasons. Mimi is a really good character. It's one of those weird things. I don't actually think there is any character in Sevens or Go Rush that I actually dislike. Don't get me wrong. There are some characters that I like a lot more than others. There are some characters that I'm like, they're a bit weak. But like, I don't like actively dislike any of them. Like either they're really cool or they're like really funny. And there's like, that applies to just every character in Sevens and Go Rush. Either they're like kind of edgy and cool or they're just like comic relief and funny. And I like both of those things. Like Chupataro. Chupataro is a little gremlin, right? He's a loser, but he's a funny loser. And that means I'm on board, right? That's all it takes. That's all it takes. Marek English has no chance against Japan English when he activates Monster Reborn. I shouldn't be talking about Japanese Marek. I have seen it. I cannot off the top of my head think what it is. Like, what it sounds like, put it that way. For someone who smoked, that's impressive. I guess getting back to it, like 5Ds, I really don't know. I think Leo is a little bit annoying, so I don't think I would pick him. Crow is alright. I like Crow. Did we just say Crow? But I do like Jack Atlas in Japanese, though. It's probably one of them. Yusei is also not bad. I think it just goes to show the strength of 5Ds when it's really hard to pick a favorite character. I also like Akiza. Luna is a bit quiet, but like I like her arc. 5D is just, again, it just has so many really good characters. Like even some of the villains in Arc V are really strong. I don't really like Rex Goodwin. I think he's a bit boring. But like I like most of the other villains. Like all the Dark Signers I think are really cool. Trooper confuses me. He's an alien, but his hoodie pulls up to be his mask or face. Does he have a human face but an alien body? The best thing is just to not think about it too much, I think, Promanicus. I think the second you try to make sense of it is when it falls apart. And that might even be by design. Japanese Jack is the GOAT, voice-wise. You people need to watch Vrains. In the last season was actually good, but fast. Actually so good. I mean, again, I'll watch it at some point. The problem is it's just finding the time is my current issue. That's always the issue I have. Like, I could just not stream, and then I'd have an extra 6 hours a week where I could just watch anime. But, like, that doesn't seem like a good idea. That sounds like me. Also, Tomato, the Dino Wrestler swaps to a Dino Fusion / Synchro deck. Isn't the Dino Wrestler guy the Goki guy? So, like, doesn't he, like... Or are you just talking about, like, Dino Wrestler deck in general? Stream Yap / Watch Party? You would get through it so slowly. Right, feasibly, in a 3-hour stream, you could watch a maximum, again, with yapping, with, like, intro, outro, with stuff like that, you're going to get maximum, 6 episodes? No, you get more than that. Maybe 9. You get, like, 9 episodes per stream. That'd be the best you'd get. I've always been the weird hoodie dude with the striking hot takes nobody expects. Yes, the Gore plays both. Yeah, because as far as I know, in Vrains, like, almost every character, like, upgrades their deck at some point. Like, they get... Because, like, doesn't Blue Angel, like, change her deck a bunch? Because she has, like, 3 different personas or something. It's all very confusing, just getting little bits and pieces of it without actually having watched any of it. I guess for 5Ds, I'm going to lock in Jack Atlas. I think Jack Atlas is probably my favorite. Then Zexal is Kite. It's Kite. It was never going to be anyone but Kite. It's Kite. For Arc 5, my actual favorite character from Arc 5, right? And this might surprise some people, is Gong Strong. I think Gong Strong is such a cool character, but is also like an almost just one-note gimmick character. But I don't care. He is so cool. I think his design makes him look like a buffoon whilst also looking absolutely awesome. And I adore that. I think his English voice is very funny. His Japanese voice is very cool. I love that he lives in a world where everyone does action duels, where they sprint around, they ride on their monsters, they run around for action cards. And my bro's duel style is just steadfast dueling. I am just going to stand the fuck still. I'm going to put myself at a massive disadvantage because reasons. And I absolutely love that. I also love his deck for multiple reasons. I think Super Heavy Samurai is a really cool, like, aesthetic. The idea of, like, being these, like, big, hulking, tanky machine samurai, I think looks so, so cool. I also like the gimmick of the deck having no spell and traps, and the way that they, like, have monsters that become spell and traps. They have, like, hand trap monsters, they have equip spell monsters. I just love all of that. I love that they are all defense mode focused and that you can attack from defense position. I just love everything about Gong Strong. Gong Strong is, like, peak anime character, and I absolutely love him. I also love that he, like, goes off and learns synchro summoning. But I love that part of the show in general, when they all have to go off and learn their various summoning methods from someone. So, like, what is it? Yuzu learns fusion summoning from Sora. Then Gong learns synchro summoning from the X-Saber guy. Like, I just think, so good. I could just gush about Gong. Gong Strong is so good. His character progression was good. Blue Angel's deck gets better, but her progression gets worse. I is fantastic. Well, that's good to know. All I really know about Blue Angel is apparently she, like, has, like, obvious lethal in, like, 8 duels or something, and then just, like, loses because the plot needs her to lose. That is about the gist of what I know about Blue Angel. I like almost everyone in Vrains. So from what I've seen of Vrains, my favorite characters are probably the Gore and Revolver. Those two stand out to me as being really cool. I don't dislike any of the others. They just seem a bit, like, vanilla. Like, Playmaker just seems, like, so vanilla. Sort of like how Yusei seems a bit vanilla. Waka Ushi, my beloved Super Heavy Samurai monster. Hey, Zaki boys, welcome, welcome. Yeah, I've always really liked them. I've always really liked Super Heavy Samurai. I think they're cool. Meanwhile, in TCG, Trickstar committed Tier 0 war crimes. Just don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. I guess if we finish it up, right? If we go 7s, my favorite 7s character is probably Gavin or Gakuto. I really like his entire weird arc. I think he's a really interesting character where he's like the student council president guy. He's like, everyone's got to follow the rules. And then when he goes into his duel, he goes into the Suigetsu style. And like, he's not even allowed to like hold his own cards. That's like part of the duel style, which is like so silly. But again, it's like the Gong Strong thing again, where it's just like, I'm just going to have this weird gimmick for like no reason. And I just absolutely adore it. And then as he like develops, he's like, oh, I can hold my own cards. That's fine. And then he does like the whole DJ Gavin thing, which is like, oh, it's so stupid. It's so stupid. And yet I still love it. And then he has to like overcome Nail's Yggdrago, and he manages to force a tie. And he was so much the underdog that like when he forces that tie against Nail, I was just like, this is so peak. Like, actually adored the episode. There's just, I don't think anyone tops Gavin for me in Sevens. I think he's just my favorite. I do really like Yuga as well. I think Yuga's really cool. But it's probably those two. It's Yuga and Gavin. And then Go Rush. Oh, Go Rush is actually a tough one. I do really like Yuhi. I think Yuhi's cool. Not really the biggest fan of Udius. Udius is a bit boring. I like Zuijo, but he's a little bit like edgy for the sake of being edgy, which is like not a bad thing, but like I think it does dock him a few points. Yuamu I think is kind of boring. I've never really been into Yuamu. Trying to think what the Bocchi. I love Bocchi. I love Bocchi so much. Bocchi is like so funny and so like every scene Bocchi is in, he just like steals the show. It's so good. I like Yuga, wants to have fun, keeps building things, says he doesn't play to win, and then throws tantrums when he loses. He is the Iron Man of Sevens. I mean, kind of. I really like Yuga. Yuga's like a really cool character. I'll unfollow. What's wrong, Hikari? What's wrong? Is it literally because we said... Like, I literally said, I like Zuijo. I opened the statement with I like Zuijo. And yet you're like, oh, I'll get it unfollow. I'm like, what more do you want from me? Alright, well, with that, we've gone through all the anime. We've kind of gone through all of that. Not for that. Ooh, okay. What did I say? What did I say that Hikari didn't like? Let's back it up. Let's back it up. I said I wasn't a big fan of Udius. So maybe it was that. I said I like Yuhi. I said I wasn't a big fan of Yuamu. That could have been it. But I don't think Hikari likes any women, so it's probably not that. Udius's boring triggered me. It's not worse as Yusaku is boring. I like women. I don't know. Every time any female Yu-Gi-Oh character gets brought up, outside of like Akiza, you seem to bare your fangs a little bit. I'm just saying. Udius, to me, is just, he's always the exact same. He never, outside of like the very latest season, Udius just feels like he is always the same, like, enthusiastic, go-getter, yeah, let's do this, let's settle everything in the rush duel, everything's gonna work out, we're all gonna be good, everything's great, let's do this. And I'm just like, I like that kind of peppiness, but I feel like literally it's been like 120 episodes and he has had almost no character development. And then finally in the latest season, he's getting some, but I feel like it's the sort of stuff that he's going to, like, quote-unquote, like, overcome, and then we're just never going to bring it up again, right? He's innocent. And again, that's completely fine. But I do think that when your character doesn't really change, and you don't really develop, I do think that is just a little bit boring. Like, I don't dislike him. Udius is fine. I like his deck. I like it when he's dueling. I like Blue Angel too, so your argument is false. Ah, okay, we've got two. We've got two different characters. There we go. We've destroyed the argument. There it is. So is it you just don't like any female characters in the Rush Duel animes? Is that it? I don't know. Do you like Roman? I assume you probably like Roman. This is where we're going to get like the no, I hate Roman. But I think Man, fuck the timer. Alex just drops in just to shit talk the timer. I mean, I respect it. I respect shit talking the timer. I guess speaking of, we'll go over to DLN. We have just been kind of sat on starting soon for like God knows how long. A Salamangrate's long combo take too damn long. Oh, are you playing salads, Alex? I didn't know if salads would have been your cup of tea. But I think you're going to be exactly like me, Alex. You're going to have to like spend so much time doing the combo and then not have enough time to actually do any thinking whatsoever. But yeah, we got a few little bits to go over. So I guess we will jump into the tier list. So we have a speed tier list update. I mean, we'll read some of these, but again, we're not going to read them all. We are currently in a 2-deck format where Heroes and Salamangrate seem to be way better than everything else. In tournaments, they are taking around 70% of the top cut spots, which is why there are no decks in Tier 2. Even so, some Tier 3 decks still stand a chance, even though it's very hard to build a deck that's solid into both Heroes and Salamangrate. I would argue Salamangrate is stronger than Heroes because the matchup is usually favoured to Salamangrate, as long as Heroes can't find techs to handle their initial play and follow-up. I lost to Time Lord because I kept shuffling my boards back into the deck. I mean, they're going to do that. That is basically the Time Lord's gimmick. 4 salad cards in a 30-card deck, the rest are just counter traps. 2 best yellow buttons in Tier 1, crazy. Yeah, I will say that the Salamangrate yellow button is important for like how the deck works, but at least the Salamangrate skill, in my opinion, doesn't like play the game for you. It just gives you all the resources you would possibly need to play the game how you want to play it. So I do think Salamangrate isn't as big of an offender as Heroes in terms of like yellow button win, but that's just my opinion, right? This is pretty much the definition of a 2-deck format, as everything else struggles and has to either get lucky or benefit from suboptimal play / decks from their opponent to have a chance. So we're not going to read all of that. Crystal Beast up to Tier 3 though, that's interesting. Lamau, they had to say that's why there's no Tier 2. Boys, your excuses are trash. Tier 3 is Tier 2 if there's no Tier 2. Yeah. So in my opinion, leaving out Tier 2 is basically your way of trying to say there is a massive gap between Tier 1 and Tier 2. Which, like, I understand the sentiment. But I feel like it's not... What's like the word I'm looking for? Because it does make sense. Right? I do understand the logic behind it. And it does get the point across, but I guess it like knocks a load of potential Tier 3, or in this case, I guess there would be Tier 4 decks off of the tier list. So you just can't see what the next best decks are. Because a lot of people are probably like, oh, well, none of these Tier 3 decks interest me. What's the next best thing? What is like the best rogue decks in this situation? And if you had just had Tier 3 as Tier 2, you could then have those decks on here. But I suppose on the other hand, if you only have to talk about 6 decks, it's a lot easier. Salad is pretty cool aesthetically and feels pretty consistent too. I mean, if it is a Vrains deck, it should be feeling quite consistent. Most Link decks do end up feeling quite consistent. Tier 2 is for whichever hero or Salad got nerfed harder after the KC Cup. I mean, yeah, just the waiting room. Hello, guys. Hello, First Dark Lord. Welcome on in. So Crystal Beast got bumped off, which is nice. Lyrilusk and Predaplant got knocked down into Tier 3. I guess just to signify that they are that much worse than Heroes and Salamangrate. Lyrilusk Tri-Brigade also just sat there as well, so... You know, Lyrilusk kind of on it twice. And then there's nothing else really on here. Like, Shadol came off the tier list, which is a bit of a shame, because I played against a lot of Shadol recently on the old Dragonmaid, so like I feel like I've kind of picked up quite a lot of that. I'm Marinos, I changed my name. Well, welcome on in then, Marinos. Or I guess we'll keep calling you First Dark Lord. It's interesting as well that Paris has, like, gone into a bit more detail here. I do quite appreciate this. Tomato sauce. Also, you missed my question earlier. Do you think they're going to put some archetypes that we didn't exist in OCG, CCG yet, like Drone, Storm Ridership, Armatos Legio? What do you think they're going to put anime / manga exclusives into Duel Links? Is that what you're asking me? Because we already have some of that in place. So, like, they could. Like, there's no reason they wouldn't, other than they don't want to. I think it'll come down to, like, is there a reason to, right? Do the cards specifically, do they think it would be a boon to the current meta or something? Armor's fine, but armor is too good to make unless they need it. There you go. There you go. I mean, I don't really know what any of those archetypes are, so it's not... I'm not the person to ask, unfortunately. So that's it for that. I guess we'll talk about Rush Rivals a little bit. We're just going to kind of touch on this. So we did just have the second episode of Rush Rivals. We do have a new first place. Is this new? Or was Manicus first place last time? No, Manicus was first place last time. So Manicus retains his lead on points with a clear 1,000. 200 higher than next, which is Draco Kid. Which is, you know, that's pretty good. We're starting to see... There's definitely, like, a upper echelon and a under echelon. Right? Because there is what? There's 140 between these, and there is 130 between these. So Hunter kind of stands out as kind of being in the middle. But everyone else is all kind of very realistically kind of close to each other. Quite like the Ashura Star challenge. You got to remember, though, that the Ashura Star challenge is there for alliteration and not for anything else. Like, realistically, you know, Jointech Rex was the mascot of Jointech Jumble. And although, yes, his name was used during the Jumble, he didn't have to be, right? It was there for alliteration. What do you do? These ex-hook with this monster master players. What do you do here? What do you? That is a very blanket statement. You have to be a little bit more specific there, Dark Lord. But Manicust and Hikari are now the only players that are undefeated in the best of 3 games. We did get to see some interesting games. Hunter 2-0 Sota. We got to see Milaneso 2-0 Parko. Manicus 2-0 Draco Kid. And Hikari 2-1 Whistling Bird. I actually think the Whistling Bird Hikari games were very, very good to watch. I actually really enjoyed those. We also saw card pool updates. We got to see some interesting new cards. I don't think we actually got to see Trick Pigeon or Beast Summoner used, but we got to see the more counter traps or battle traps used. Chilling and gooning. Jesus Christ, Zaki boys. I think out of all of the different little bundles that did go out, from this week specifically, I think a big standout is again going to be Manicust, because we now have 2 emblems, and that could be huge going forward. That could actually be huge going forward. Next week / this week, I bury Hikari. I mean, we can see. So you are playing this week, yeah. So it's going to be Manicust versus Hikari to see who comes out on top. Which should be a pretty good game, because Hikari has got the Shadow Flower stuff, but also has the zombie stuff, which arguably are going to kind of fall off quite hard between the both. Manicust has arguably 2 that will just get stronger as time goes on. So I would say Manicust at the moment is probably favored here. But we'll have to see what happens. What do you do on the first Excel? So this is Rush Rivals. This is our... I suppose I should probably do this to make it easy to see. This is our Rush Duel Links game show, basically, where we have 8 competitors that compete each week in challenges, and then they have to duel against each other. And we also have our first limit restricted, which is also pretty cool. But it'll be interesting to see what happens. I am actually really curious to see if Manicus could extend his lead at all. Especially after next week, because it's not really spoiler alert, but let's just say a lot of the bundles going into next week should be quite high impact. So this is definitely going to be one where you're going to want to try and win the challenge as much as you can, for shoresies, for shoresies. But that's kind of it for that. There wasn't really much to say. I think Milaneso really stood out as having a really good challenge, but he didn't do it particularly quickly, so he didn't get very many points. Manicust really stood out as doing the challenge with his Rivals deck, but he did it reasonably quick, and he got a lot of points, so it kind of worked out, like, all around for Manicust. I guess the next thing we'll do is we'll talk a little bit about the latest tournament results. So we have actually started seeing Dragon Fusion winning a few tournaments, which is pretty good. Well, I must say it was fun to see your Noodle Fusion deck yesterday, Mr. Tomato. Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed playing it. I didn't really get a lot of time to prepare or practice, so I just kind of went in and did whatever. We did misplay a few times with it, which is to be expected, but we did have fun doing it. I only barely actually made it to the event. I wasn't actually able to play during the first round, so I just got a DQ for my first game, but I did manage to get in afterwards, so that was at least something. But we have now started seeing Dragon Fusion winning. Considering before this week, Dragon Fusion only had one tournament win, it was starting to look like Psychic was really pulling away as being, like, without a doubt the best deck. But with now 3 tournament wins under the belt, it does look like Dragon Fusion is catching up a little bit. Now, we are still seeing Psychics quite a lot, right? They're not, like, disappearing. They're still here. They're still in the finals. But it is, like, balancing out a little bit. And if we go down to our pie charts, we can see that, like, Psychic is still 37.2%, but Dragons is now only 35.5%, so it's very much keeping up, which definitely does make this feel like it is a 2-deck format. Yeah, can't believe I handicapped myself during that. What did you do, Manicist? What were you doing? What happened? I am curious. But the deck that we played was this. This was our build. This was just the Noodle Matarian deck. It's nothing, like, special. It's nothing crazy. But I do just like the noodles. I think Extra Spice is just a cool boss monster. This deck has a lot of flaws, but the main gist is that we can get out Extra Spice, get some burn, draw through more cards. We can get out the Matarian fusions, which specifically is going to be a Shura Star most of the time. And then we're just going to be able to get in for, like, a big chunk of damage. Especially, I like the Ashura Star, or I like specifically the Matarian stuff when it's not paired with Type Change Beam. Because I think Type Change Beam becomes like, I'm just going to try and OTK you, and it's very boring. You don't realistically need Type Change Beam to just have Matarian be good. So, like, I don't know. I just blanked and thought we had to use our Rivals deck. Ah, I see. I mean, it's going to happen, right? I wouldn't worry about it too much. Because, again, you still came out of it looking pretty strong. So, as for this tournament, I actually was a little bit surprised because my tournament games were against Psychic Fusion, Dragon Fusion, something else meta? I can't remember what I played against third. Oh, it was Cyber Dragon. It was Cyber Dragon. And it was Gozu playing Cyber Dragon, who has won / like gotten close to winning tournaments on his Cyber Dragon deck specifically. And then we ended up losing to a misplay, but we did lose to Red Boot. So, like, it's funny how, like, we beat... Like, if we go back to, like, the tier list, right? We beat Psychic, which is, like, the best deck. We beat Dragon, which was the best deck. We beat Cyber Dragon, which is the 4th best deck. And then we actually lost to Red Boot, which is the 6th best deck. So it's like, we beat all of these, like, really heavy hitters, and then we lost to Red Boot, which, by the way, before this tournament, because it's just gotten another top, because it did manage to make top 4, was down here. So, like, it was kind of like a 7th, 8th best deck, and then suddenly has now risen up to 6th. But, you know, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed playing in the tournament. I think I still really like the Pyro stuff, and I would really like to see the Pyro Fusion come out. But I'm in a bit of a awkward spot with predicting the next box, because... Alright. Follow this train of thinking, right? We did talk about this a little bit last time, but if we're getting MADDOX as the character, we're going to get MADDOX support in a box. If we get Fire Pyro support for MADDOX on theme, we could get Fire Pyro support for Noodles, right? Logically, I think the logic tracks. The issue is, typically in mini boxes, we have about 4 different archetypes supported. So if we put cards that are more Fire Pyro support to go with the Fire Pyro support, it turns out that will actually just work together. So the more I think about it, I don't think we're going to get Noodle stuff in the next box, because all of the Fire Pyro slots in that box are going to go to Chemicalized stuff, and specifically MADDOX cards, which makes me a little bit sad. I thought Yubel is the best deck. That is in Speed, and also that is... Wait a minute, that's in Master Duel. I believe that's Master Duel is where Yubel is the best deck. No Noodles? I mean, I really want Noodles, but I don't think we're going to get them. We also have some tournaments coming up. We got Galaxy Rush 4, which is going to be Hikari's tournament. That is going to be on Saturday. So that should be a pretty exciting one. We also have the Duel Links Dynasty, which is an interesting one. We haven't had a Rush Duel Links tournament from Dynasty in ages, and that is today. So 6 p.m. for me. So that's in what? Like under 4 hours this is starting. I think if we get Pyro, we should get Fairy 2, not gonna lie, because in 7s, Fairy came out with the Pyro Noodle and Meat Pyro and Space Deck at the same time. So that's not true, Manicist. First off, Space came out way before. The Dark Pyro Space stuff came out just before Cyburst did, or in the same box as Cyburst. So that came out with the Yggdrago. The Beast, so it's Fire Beast stuff, is the meat stuff. That came out at the same time as the Sushi Fairies. And that also came out with the second wave of noodles. So, like, if I don't think we're getting the noodles, then I don't think we'd necessarily get the other stuff either. So, like, the Alien Space Lady with her Pyro. The Alien Space Lady with her Pyro. Are you talking about the Sweets? Sweets Coco, whatever her name is? Who used the, Earth Pyro? Is that the one we're talking about? Is Hikari Swiss? Galaxy Rush is best of 3 single elimination. So there you go. There's your information. In the anime, not IRL. You got to remember there are a couple of different space characters that use Pyro, because there's Fire Pyro, which is like Mantle Vader and Mag Massage. There's Dark Pyro, which is like the outer space stuff. And there is a new Dryad. And there is the Earth Pyro stuff, which is like Mag Massage and Doki Doki Hexenhaus. No, Mag Massage was Fire, I think. So Doki Doki Hexenhaus was the Earth one. So like they're all space Pyro. So you got to like think about that as we say it, right? Hello, Ogtoti. Welcome, welcome. You playing in a speed tourney today? We're not planning to. There is a Rush tournament today. Yes, there is. There is the Rush Duel Dynasty number 10 today. Hello, by the way, Bismarck. Off, it was Swiss. I could not play the first round. RIP. I not late, y'all are late. Hello, Dragson. Welcome, welcome. Space Pyro. Yeah, so basically, I mean, if we can go through, have a look quick, right? So if we type Pyro, we type not released, and if we type some of these, so I assume that we're talking about these ones, the Doki Doki Hexenhaus, the Dogolsh, these ones, or we're talking about like Mantle Vader, I think it's called. This thing, Magmax Mantle Vader, which is like the Magma deck. There's Mila's Rush Tournament later too, I think. Which one's Mila's Rush Tournament? I haven't seen that. You're gonna have to be where is that located? Where is that information for me, Manicist? I need to know. I need to know. We might get leaks on the skill after maintenance today. Yeah, that is the hope. That is the hope. I'm expecting skills that are like badly written tomorrow. That's kind of what we're hoping for. I don't think we're going to get a load of cards tomorrow. But we might get the first iteration of the skills. And then, you know, when we get a leak after KC Cup or something, that's when we're expecting to get, like, actual cards. And we'll get the actual rules as written on the skills. But then, as well as the Magma stuff, there's also the Dark Pyro stuff, which is, like, Cosmic String, New Dryad, these sort of things. So yeah, there are quite a few. There are quite a lot of different ones. Here we go, is Manicist. Let's have a look. What is this? Let's get it up on here. Look, it's Mila! I can't read any of this. So this is today at 10 p.m. It is such a shame that Mila is doing this at the same or on the same day as another Rush tournament, because obviously they're going to clash, which is like very sad. If we go to brackets, since I can't read any of that. So it looks like it's going to be single elimination. But I'll go ahead and link this. Special rules format with special rules. What are the special rules then? All right, let me translate some of this. Back to all events. Why is this so difficult? All right, we'll come back over here. Then is there no translate here? Come on, Google. We can translate this. No, don't Google Lens it. Just give me the ability to translate. I just want the ability to translate, Chrome. You can do this. No, it's just not. It's not giving it to me. Best of 3 single elimination. The deck you have to build must only have prismatic cards. I don't know how I feel about that. Alright, let's grab this. Let's go over here. What do we want to translate from? Spanish, perfect. Alright. Refractive Cards Tournament. A series of tournaments made with random rules, made by Milaneso Odo. This time it will be the sequel to the Rush Fractivus Tournament. For obvious reasons from the name, your deck must entirely be made of refractive cards. We're going to assume that means prismatic. With some exceptions that I will mention below. Prohibited abilities / skills. Current ban list of Rush Duel Links. Banned! Ancient Gear Golem. You can character 3 cards with Chronicle rarity in your deck. Any modification counts as Chronicle. From the name to the event seals, but try to make the cards shine if possible, so not as to break the tournament theme. 1 legend per deck. There should only be 1 legend card in your entire deck. Okay, okay. Also, thank you for following Shay JP. We're gonna go with Shay JP. If the legend card you want to carry is already with a Chronicle rarity, that takes 1 slot away from the 3 Chronicles you can carry. Okay, legend slot per deck, it occupies the Chronicle space, the 3 you have. If there are many of us, it will be a single elimination. If there are a few of us, it will be double elimination, so the event does not end in half an hour. Alright, I like the idea of this. I don't know how many people are going to have the ability to play in this without basically like just playing like an insect deck, because you can get most of the insects at high rarity, right? Also, Tomato, take a look at the list I posted in our chat. It's not very good, but at least I won against Volt with it. Where is that? In here? In here. Okay. What have you been cooking here, Toti? What am I looking at? Right, we'll grab this. We'll throw it on stream. So, we got Mirror Gears in here, which is just meant to be like Mirror Gears Turbo, because we've got the 3 copies of the Star Restart. The benefit of not playing the Dragius is that we don't have to have that limit 3 taken up. So this is just Metarian with 3 Mirror Gear Star and 3 the Dragon kind of thrown in. Other than that, it's just a Metarian deck. Because this is like the Spearhead draw version back before we had Metarian script skill. How it's funny. I mean, if it works, right? I can't fold it if it works. I can only assume we don't get the Mirror Gears effect off too often. It's just there to be fused off. I mean, yeah, this is cool. I still hate this card. This stupid gun. Go away, gun. Went on a win streak. Nice, nice. But yeah, so that means we have 2 tournaments on today. I guess I'll link this in chat. case anyone is interested in entering Milanesso's tournament with the special rules. I'm a bit scared that this dynasty... Actually, it should be fine, right? Because it's singular limb, which means tons of players should be knocked out very quickly. We should easily get through about 3 rounds before Milanesso's tournament starts, so it should be fine. And we'll drop this in. What is this card? The gun. Type change beam is the one that I don't like, personally. We don't need this anymore. I guess we'll chuck... Because we've been talking about it as well, we'll chuck the Galaxy Rush in the chat as well. There you go. There's all the tournaments if you want to sign up for any of them tournaments. So the next thing I kind of want to do, I guess, is take a look at the OCG stuff that's been coming out. Because we have had a lot of OCG announcements because we do have another box releasing in about... Well, it's not long now, is it? It's like 4 days. 4 days, we will be having a new OCG box. So we're going to go through some of these cards. So we have Delirium Pollinea. So if you control another face-up light insect monster, you can change this card face-up to position to face-up defense position. Choose one level 3 or higher face-up monster on the opponent's field to decrease its level by 2. I think we've actually already read this one, so this one doesn't actually matter. I'm pretty sure we haven't read the others, but, you know, changing levels are still pretty good. So we have Shine Your Soul with Pillage and Bazoo. So the first one is Pillage the Stylish Sacred Shooting Star. Level 5 Psychic Fusion Effect Monster. Mage using Pillage the Sacred Shooting Star and any normal monster. Send the top card of your deck to the graveyard. Choose one face-up monster on your opponent's field and have it lose 1700 attack until the end of the opponent's next turn. So this is actually pretty good. I can't remember what Pillage does off the top of my head, but like this effect is like fine. And it sends the top card of your deck to the graveyard, which is also really good. And then there's Bazoo, which is an interesting one. Obviously, Bazoo had to be changed because we don't have a banish in Rush. So place up to 3 monsters from your graveyard on the bottom of your deck. This card gains 300 attack times the number of monsters returned by this requirement until the end of the opponent's next turn. So, I mean, is Bazoo going to be good? Probably not. I don't really see it being good, but, you know, it's neat. And we just got some alternate artworks, which do look quite nice. I think this is potentially thingy. I mean, the alt arts do look nice, but, like, there's nothing super crazy. Hello, Kazumi. Does banishing exist in Rush? No. No, it doesn't. That's why everything goes to the bottom of the deck. Is that L9 Ray with the bolus? Welcome on in. So next up, give a offering to the Archfiend. So place 2 Fiend monsters from your graveyard on the bottom of your deck in any order. Choose one face-up level 8 or lower monster on your opponent's field. For the rest of this turn, if you attribute Summon Skull in attack position, you contribute the chosen face-up monster on your opponent's instead. So we can only tribute level 8 or lower. That is like the downside of this. But still, we basically have Soul Exchange, which is kind of good. Did I miss something? Hello, Badge. Welcome on in, my friend. That's interesting. I mean, they might... They probably just won't do Banish, realistically, in Rush. I think if they were going to, they would have done it by now, but yeah, we have Offering to an Archfiend, which is pretty cool. Nothing, like, super crazy. Like, basically, it's just Soul Exchange, right? It's just Soul Exchange. That's what it is. I just had an emergency alert, and it scared the poop out of me, but fortunately, it was just a test. I mean, that's always a good realization. So the bonus card for Go Rush Duel 11 is the Galactica Oblivion Arc. We already know what this card is, so they don't need to show us, but neat. That comes with the DVDs or whatever. Bow to the authority of Animagica Majesty. So when your opponent normal or special summons a monster, choose one face-up light beast monster on your field. Also, choose up to 2 face-up monsters on the opponent's field with levels lower than the level of the chosen monster and change them to defense position. So, you know, that's fine. We flip one of ours down, we flip 2 of theirs down. I assume when it says them, that will affect all of them, but who even knows? Who even knows? I assume it would. Also, you choose up to 2 faces. Yeah, it just says change them. So yeah, you're choosing all 3. So it will change them all face down. Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Close enough. Welcome back, Monarch Stormforth. Basically, yeah. So Axel Road of the Attack. So we know we're getting this. So Axel Road of the Attack is confirmed for release May 31st. a core booster that contains themes from the animated series such as Seven's Road, new cards existing in Yu-Gi-Oh! Rush Duel original themes, as well as new cards for themes that first appeared in the official card game. The highest rarity is Overrush Rare. So basically, we're getting a Seven's Road or Axel Road, so kind of assume that's a Seven's Road theme. We're also getting like OCG cards, so that could mean anything. Just like we're getting some Master Rule archetypes are going to be in Rush. I mean, that's kind of cool. There's nothing like super insane with that, but like it's next to no information basically, so it's hard to get anything to go on. But more Seven's Road stuff's always cool. Now, when are they adding Kaijus? Hopefully never, but we'll have to wait and see. Guard your deck with Card Defender. I love this art, by the way. I think this is like such a nice minimalist art, and I really enjoy it. So, level 3, Earth Warrior Effect Monster. Continuous effect. During your opponent's turn, spell and trap cards on your field cannot be returned to the hand, deck, or extra deck by an effect. So, clearly, you're supposed to use this to protect from things like Overrush Storm or Riser, which are both seeing a ton of play. If you control a Warrior Normal Monster or a Warrior Fusion Monster, face-up monsters on your field gain 1000 attack. That is pretty good, because first off, it itself becomes a 1400 attack monster, which is okay. Now, the downside is always going to be, if you lose your Warrior Normal Monster or your Warrior Fusion Monster, this is then going to go straight back down to 400. So they could just attack in the right order and just make you take 1000 extra damage, which kind of sucks, but still, 1000 extra attack is 1000 extra attack, and it boosts it to all of them, so that's 3000 extra attack if we get 3 monsters out, which is actually really good. Then we have Delirium Rosalia. So if there are 10 or more cards in your deck, you can send 1 card from your hand to the graveyard, draw a card, then you can choose a Delirium Siblix in your graveyard and add it to the hand. So, level 7, 2500 attack, that lets you filter, we discard, we draw, and then we can also plus by getting the boss monster back. This does kind of fit in with their theme, because one of their other bosses does also get more bosses back from the graveyard, so it's pretty cool. And then we have the next Psycho Jump promo. So this is our Outer Chaos Slime, which is really, really cool, because this is like sort of a corrupted Interstelline, which is like interesting. So this kind of... Hello, Naruto. Thanks for following. This kind of implies that one of two things is going to happen. Either we're going to see like a Udius Suigio kind of merge sort of thing happen, or Udius is going to have like evil dark side thing that usually happens to Yu-Gi-Oh! Protagonists. So something's going to be interesting happening here, and I'm curious to see what it's going to be. Obviously, it'd be really cool to see what's effective, but we don't have that yet. So I suppose the next thing I want to do is go over what we think. Is this spoilers? I mean, potentially, but we don't know yet, because it hasn't happened yet. So it could be, but for things that aren't out. So it's like... But the next thing I want to do is take a look at what we think the next box could contain. So I think it goes without saying, it's probably going to be a mini box, right? And if we're getting a mini box, that means we're getting 4 URs, 10 SRs, 12 rares, and 14 normals for a total of 40 new cards. Looking back at the last mini boxes we've had, each one had about 4 archetypes in it. Now, the exception to that is like Thunder Fusion was kind of its own archetype. And that was like... It was a low rarity archetype. I don't know if we count that, because it is kind of its own archetype, but none of them took up any UR or SR spots, so it's like, does it even matter? Jointech Leo was another card that stood out, but it's just an individual card, in the same way the Ether package was in the Fusion of Revolution one. So, like, for the most part, we're supporting, like, about 4 decks, like, from the UR and SR parts from these boxes. So, it would make sense to me that we're probably going to get maximum of 2 Pyro cards. Because in, for example, Requiem of Collapse, we did get Void Velger Requiem, and we did get the Cataphract as both URs. So there is a chance we get like a second UR. And again, this could all change. This is just using context clues and using the information we have. This is my prediction so far. Chemicalized Salamander is going to be a UR, I think goes without saying. We're going to probably get either Finalize or Analyze as an SR in the box or as a MADDOX drop, realistically. I think Ethel and Metho are probably going to come out. And then we've also just got some, like, other rare normals. So I think this is probably it for, like, mana boost stuff in this box. I don't think we probably need more slots than that. So I think the rest of this is going to be non-mana boost stuff. And then it gets interesting. Because, like, over here, we do have, like, we have 7s. And we have the Go Rush stuff that kind of would make sense to drop based on, like, where it appeared in the anime, the power level of the decks, as well as the order it released in TCG. In the square brackets down here, we do have, like, decks that already exist that could get a bonus. Like, for example, we do already have Cyber. Cyberburst is already a deck that we have, but it hasn't got its fusions yet. So they could just slap in Cyberburst fusions, or what's it called? Fen Rewrite a Soul. Plants is another big one. We have had plants for a while. They have done literally nothing. The only issue that plants has is the plant fusion monsters, or at least the main ones, specifically mention their good trap cards in their effect text. Which means we would need to get those good trap cards. And as we know, Konami don't like giving us good trap cards. Which I think does make it a little bit awkward when it comes to, like, predicting we're going to get plants. Because if we can't get plants without the good traps, are we going to get the good plants at all? Right? That's kind of how I look at it. I think it is a little bit awkward. New plants better get new skills. That's not backwards. I mean, potentially. But again, the big issue is, like, if we go and look up the plants quick right now. So the plant fusion monsters. I suppose I don't need this specifically. We were going to do that because it let us look at the traps as well. But the plant fusion monsters we're going to get. So first off, we have Durga, which is okay. We'd have to get Gatling. Gatling's kind of whatever, but Durga is actually really good. So if your opponent has 2 or more monsters on their field, destroy all face-up level 6 or higher monsters on your opponent's field. So it doesn't work on maximums, right? But it does work on fusions. So we could just wipe all of our opponent's fusions out of the way, which is pretty strong effect. Now, you could also make the argument that Bill Dream does this already, so this would be completely fine. This is probably okay. This could come out, right? But then you get to some of the weirder ones. So first off, there's, like, Make It a Trains. I don't think Make It a Trains is probably going to come out. I guess we'll put it over here. So, made using 2 trains. Send the top card of your deck to the graveyard. Up to 2 face-up monsters on your opponent's field lose 730,000 attack and defense until the end of this turn. So, like, this could come out because it's a 0 attack, 0 defense monster. And we already have, like, Mirror Gears into Mirror Gear Star. So, like, and we already have Live as well, like Candy Live. So, it's like reducing the attack of your opponent's monsters to basically 0 is fine, especially when this is a 0 attack monster. So you'd make this, reduce the attack, and then ideally, like, tribute it off anyway. So, like, it could just come out. A hot take, I think we're ready for Jest in Duel Links Rush. No, Toti. No. I think we may see some warrior support too, because the whole lineage thing, maybe they introduce fish on the same grounds. I don't think we'll see fish, just because the fish cards are really strong. We could see, like, some of the bad warrior stuff. I don't think we would see the fish stuff. Did I read that right? Yeah, you reduce your 730,000 attack. But again, it's just a meme number, right? Realistically, it's set their attack to 0. In the same way that Candy Live will almost always set their attack to 0. And a Mirror Gears and Mirror Gear Star play will almost always set their attack to 0, right? Like, it doesn't really mean anything. It's just put it to 0. So then there's Make It a Trains the Shadowflower Venus, which again is the exact same as the last one. We make it with the same stuff. We can special summon a level 8 or lower plant type monster from your hand or graveyard face up to your field. This is just fine, right? We just summon it out as a 3k guy, use its effect, get an extra body, potentially fuse again. Could be fine, right? 730,000 is a normal number. Exactly, see, it's fine. But yeah, Maker is like, this card is fine. This could come out. This should be completely okay. Like, if they want to release it without giving us the named ones, like the ones that name trap cards, I think you give us Make It a Trains, you give us other Make It a Trains. So I guess this one is Lunatic, you give us Venus, and you give us Submarine, right? Those 3 make sense to me. The one that you don't give us or the ones you don't give us are these. So the first one is Doshin Kaika, the Shadow Flower Full Moon. So this is made using Gekka and Lindo, so these are 2 low levels. That's why it's only level 8 with 2500 attack. Send the top 3 cards of your deck to the graveyard. 1 face-up plant type monster on your field can attack directly this turn. Then you can set stance from your graveyard. So first off, attacking directly is pretty good, right? If you just use it on itself, it's just 2500 that can attack directly. We've already seen how good that can be with Mirror Gear Star. So already a bit of a question mark effect. Then we have one that lets you set a trap card, and stance is actually pretty good. So Shadow Flower Stance. When an opponent's monster declares an attack targeting your face-up plant-type monster, place 2 plant-type monsters from your graveyard on the bottom of your deck in any order. Change all attack position monsters on your opponent's field to defense position. This is really good. Having more defensive options like this is really strong. So I don't think we would get this card, and by extension, I don't think we would get Doshin Kaika, right? That's just how I feel about that. I don't hate this fusion. What's the card it sets? Plants need more than just new cards. They need a new skill. I mean, very true, very true. If this trap wasn't good, we could get the fusion. Yeah, but unfortunately the trap's good. That's the issue. And then the other one is Javelin Ducks, the Shadow Flower Piercer. So made using Gatling, which again is the same card used to make the other fusion we talked about earlier, the one that can destroy face-up monsters in your opponent's field. But we can destroy a face-up monster on your opponent's field. Okay, anything. So this will destroy a maximum. This will destroy a fusion. Then you can set a Shadow Flower Return from your graveyard to your spell and trap. So we make this guy as a nice 2800 guy. We then get to just basically -1 our opponent and +1 ourselves after we've -2'd ourselves for making this fusion. And that's just on individual cards. If we had to like special summon, that also doesn't count. And the card it gets back is Return. So if we go and show you Shadow Flower Return. This one is a bit more finicky because it's only direct attack, right? But when your opponent's monster declares a direct attack, shuffle 3 plant-type monsters from your graveyard into the deck. Destroy the attacking monster. Okay. This is Sakuretsu Armor. It only works on direct attacks, but it is still Sakuretsu Armor. So I don't think Konami is going to give it to us. Now, I would love to have these cards. I think these trap cards are really cool, but they're too good when compared to the rest of the field right now. But then if you destroyed a monster by this effect, you can special summon a plant-type monster from your graveyard to your field in face-up attack position. So it's really good. I think this trap is fine as a one-of. It's a weird one, because if you have your graveyard set up, let's say you have, like, I don't know, a Javelin Ducks in the graveyard, you could then use Shadow Flower Return to bring back your Javelin Ducks as a 2800 guy after popping your opponent's best card, and then you could also bring back your Javelin Ducks. Then Javelin Ducks' effect could then bring back the Shadow Flower Return, which is just so good. It's so good. I could see us getting the traps without the fusions. Are there generic traps that can revive boss monsters? Generic? There is, like, Sunset Rebirth, which you've probably encountered if you've played OCG. So you've probably seen that, Ursus. But it summons it face down. I could see us getting the traps without the fusions. I mean, potentially, but like, how would you do it, right? Like, which traps would you give us? What would you still not give us a skill, right? If we give all types a good battle trap to even the playing field, I mean, that is what would be ideal, right? The issue is, again, not all traps are created equally. So the one that I always like to point out is Battle Demotion. So this is a trap card that came out relatively early-ish. We can actually see it. For the machine deck. And we'll make it easier to read. If it will actually load. If it loads, we can actually have a look at it. But if it doesn't, until then, we can just look at Javelin Ducks. We can just chill with Javelin Ducks. Here we go. The Battle Demotion. When an opponent's monster declares an attack on your face-up machine-type monster, pay 600 life points. Change an attack position monster opponent's field to face-up defense position. Now, this came out pretty quick. Like, not super early, because we already at this point had Dark Revelation, we already had Dragon's Counterattack, we already had, like, good traps for dragons, we already had them for spellcasters. This was kind of the next trap that came out that was generically good. And obviously it was only for machines. So some types have these okay traps, like this is a good one for machine, but a lot of them just don't. I mean, thinking about what we have right now, I'm trying to think if Psychic even has a good trap card. Let's have a look. Like, off the top of my head, I can't think of a good Psychic trap. I mean, this is okay, but it only gets the bonus if you have Handy Lady on the field. That's bad. That's kind of bad. This is brand new, so I don't think we're going to count that one. There's just Lullabind. I mean, Lullabind is like, it's kind of interesting, but like... Yeah, this is the issue, is none of these cards are like super good. That's what I mean, there are just some that just don't have good effects. Yeah, but the problem with Jampy Catch is Jampy Catch is basically a brand new card. So I don't think we'd get this. But when an opponent's monster declares an attack, shuffle 2 to 4 psychic monsters from your go into the deck, change the attacking monster to face up defense position. Then if you have a psychic animal monster in your graveyard, draw until you have 6 cards in your hand. So this is Pot of Greed, as well as enemy controller. I'm trying to think, like, what was that? Security Orb, I guess? Like, it's so good. It's really good. The 500 attack boost trap for his best trap for real. It's just too weak, unfortunately. It's just not good enough. Machines have a lot of Pierce options in Duel Links and Sidra double attack, so this is good. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? Some types are gifted with better cards than others. Like, again, Dragons, Dragons 1 already have Fortitude, which is already pretty good. But Dragons have other traps. Was it Counterattack, I think it's called? Like this one. Bearing in mind, this card might not seem like a ton. Like, it might not seem insane, but this was in the Luke starter deck. So this was one of the first Rush cards ever released in the OCG. When a Dragon-type monster on your field is destroyed by an opponent's attack, send a card from your hand to the graveyard, destroy any monster on your opponent's field. So, like, it's still fantastic. You would still play this. It's steep cost, right? You have to lose your monster, and then you have to discard another card. No one wants to do either of those things. But you get to just destroy a monster in your opponent's field. That is so good. You can destroy something that hasn't attacked yet, or you can destroy something that has attacked. It's just, you can destroy a face-up or a face-down. It's just destroy a monster. So people would still play this, right? I will convince Konami to add Catch. Featuring Omega is decent, I guess. Which one's featuring Omega? Oh yeah, this is fine. We talked about this just now. But, like, it's not good enough, I don't think. Like, being able to be protected from destruction is, like, okay. Maybe this would be fine in the current version of the game, because we don't have any, like, spinning at the moment. So, like, maybe this would be okay. But yeah, it's just one of those things where it would be nice to see these cards come out, but it's like, how likely are they to come out, I suppose. But realistically, if we were going to get some plants, which I think is not, like, unlikely, I would expect... I mean, let's go and take another quick look at the plant fusions. We could get Durga. We could definitely get Durga the submarine. Where are you? Let's close these. Too many tabs. Too many tabs. Durga could be AUR. SR, we would have to get Gatling. What else would we potentially get? I think we could get this one. I think we could get Make It Trains. The only issue is we'd only have one room for UR. And probably only 1 or 2 for that. I mean, that would probably be fine on its own. That way you wouldn't have to give us the traps. Dear Days 2. Yeah, I did want to talk about Dear Days 2 at some point. I have been watching a lot of Dear Days 2 content. This is the really sad part. Is like, you know, mixed reviews. For a lot of people, it's not running very well. But I would really like to play this game. It's just so expensive, bro. It's so unbelievably expensive for like no reason at all. But back to what we were talking about before. I have that, but I'm still a Vanguard noob. Do you... Psychic need a better battle trap with how they're currently performing, but do Psychic. So not necessarily, but the point is eventually they will, right? Like you have to look at it as... Right. The best way I can think to say this is Konami have really tried to not give us type-specific cards in an attempt to try and keep things balanced. That's why they gave us the barrier so early, right? Because they wanted to give everyone a trap card that everyone could use. So by that logic, I don't think they would want to give us a load of stuff that gives one deck an advantage over another deck in a specific area, that being specifically spells and traps. Now, you could make the argument that in the spell department, Psychic are already doing quite well for themselves. They have Jump Check. Obviously, nobody's using it right now, but they still had that card for a long time. They still have things like Jump Up, Jump Start, which have been seeing a decent amount of success. So, like, there is that angle. But from traps specifically, all of the traps that we've got are almost entirely battle traps that don't do very much, or they're generic. They're all just generic. So, like, they've very deliberately catered it in such a way where they have tried to not imbalance the traps. So when they do this, it's like opening the can of worms, right? Like, once it's been opened, you can't close it again. So we'll have to see what actually happens there. I have it, but still a Vanguard noob. I think that we're going to do something with Warriors. I don't think the skill changed for no reason. Yeah, Warriors does make sense. And I think what you bringing that up and talking specifically about the skill change, I think is a good talking point as to why that could focus on that. We're not giving specific cards. Ah, yes. But skills, yes. Broken skills. I mean, right. All we can do is try and understand what makes Konami tick. We will never fully grasp it. Sometimes they will release things that we just do not understand whatsoever, right? Tomato plant skill that adds the trap. Oh, I mean, potentially. Definitely could be. Definitely could be. I just think, in my mind, it is a lot easier to just give us that, because there is enough plant stuff where they could give us more stuff without giving us the trap. Because, like, if you think about it like this, if they were to give us all of the plant stuff all at once, both of those traps are probably SR worthy at least. Gatling is an SR worthy card. Maybe it's a rare, but it's probably a thingy. Make It a Trains is at least an SR, if not a UR. Durga is at least an SR, if not a UR. Like, I'm just trying to work out how you'd fit all of this stuff into a single mini box. It's the same reason I don't think we're going to get the noodle stuff, because I just don't think you could fit it all into a mini box, right? Now, am I hearing random fairy support? I want to see more skills that add cards, to be honest. Yeah, I think that is a good way to balance it. It's just... it happens so rarely that I don't think we should expect it, I guess is my point. Where's my sushi? They might give us Poetic Fairy, because at the moment Whispering Fairy is doing a whole lot of nothing. I mean, potentially. Definitely. There is potential. What's going to annoy me is seeing another vanilla being SR. That is definitely going to happen at some point, Shui. That is 100% going to happen. But yeah, I guess breaking off just to talk about Deer Days, like, briefly. I think... so, Monosync was talking about running Deer Days tournaments, right? He was genuinely like, if there is enough interest, I will run Deer Days 2 tournaments. Now, Deer Days 2 currently doesn't have spectating. It had it at launch. It broke. They took it out. If it gets spectating back, that means you can spectate games, we can watch, we can run tournaments. If that happens, I genuinely might pick up Deer Days 2 and play in Vanguard Deer Days 2 tournaments. Because I think that would be really fun. Change the bloody SRM skill so I could play the new fusion. No. Where's Parker at? He's the real Vanguard man. I mean, he's generally about... I mean, Draco Kid is the other one. Draco was here earlier, but he's probably not here anymore. I played the first one, and it was cool, but it's just like Legacy of the Duelist game. Don't know if this one is better. It's basically the same. Am I hearing Megalovania? Yeah, of course you are. Megalovania's always been on our music playlist. But yeah, it's basically the same thing, right? It's the same game. It's a story. It has a story mode. You unlock cards. You buy booster packs. You know, it's like part visual novel, part trading card RPG. It's what it says on the tin. The only issue I have with this game, other than the price, because like 60 quid, which for like Americans is probably like $80 or something, is ridiculous for a game that has almost pseudo-mandatory DLC. It's kind of gross, but it also does have, as you can see on the screen there, it does have Legacy mode, which has the old booster packs. It has the first 5 sets that were released like 14 years ago. And this is the set when I actually played the game physically, and I had like all the cards. So like, this is super enticing to me as well. I would love the idea of playing like Legacy duels. The only like major issue other than the price point is, because it's made for effectively Switch, it's made with controller inputs in mind, which unfortunately means you can't click drag. Like, you can't click on your units and drag them. You can't drag cards from your hand onto the field. And just as a nice quality of life, I would just really like them to just put that in. Like, just let me play with a mouse properly. That is the main thing I would like, right? Second one gives you all the stuff you earned in the first for free. Crafting is good. Easy to get new cards. Very good so far. And what about ranked mode? I haven't touched ranked mode myself. I don't think Pro Manicist has either. So, like, I don't own the game yet, right? Just from what I've seen. Ranked, I've watched a couple of ranked games. It seemed fine. Like, you were just playing against other people online. Like, nothing like stood out as being bad. Legacy packs are cheaper too. Does it have dating like Tag Force? I don't think so. Unfortunately, you cannot just romance Zane in this game. It's fine. I play on PC and the controls are simple. The mouse works fine. I just remember when I played it, I played Dear Days 1 demo. And I just remember being like, click drag, nothing happens. And it's just like, ugh. It's like you say, it's like Legacy of the Duelist, where you have to like go over your card, click it, and then a little thing will come up. It's like, do you want to summon this? It's like, yes. And it's like, where do you want to put it? You know, there. And it's just like, it just feels like it's unnecessary. Just let me just grab it, put it down, right? It's intuitive. It makes sense. It cuts out just a little bit of unnecessary like tedium, unnecessary like friction. But like, it's not, is it a deal breaker? No. Would the game be vastly better with that change? Yes. Right? That's basically what it comes down to. One thing with this kind of game's rank is good first weeks and then you can't find players. I would assume this game is probably going to fall into a similar category. I would assume for now, ranked is probably lively. Ranked will probably slow down after a month or two. That is just naturally going to happen. I still think there will be players to play against, but you're going to be like 5-minute wait times, 10-minute wait times to find games. But again, if you're part of the community, or like you go on there, you know, its own subreddit, there's probably different fights subreddit as well. If Monosync starts running tournaments, you'll have people to play with. You just won't be able to like necessarily queue up for ranked in that way. Dear Days 1, the ranked community was still thriving. I mean, I never played Dear Days 1. For the same reason that I was like, I'll get this game when it goes on sale because it's like 60 quid for no reason, so I'll hold off. And then the game just never went on sale. And I was like, come on, Bushiroad. What are you doing here? You know you're overcharging for this game. Everyone keeps telling you you're overcharging for this game. But yeah, again, I want to play this, but I need a reason to invest into it, right? Like, just playing the story mode is not enough for me to drop 60 quid on it. But if there's tournaments I want to play in, I'll drop 60 quid on it, right? That's kind of how I look at it. I want that reason to invest. You can do like EDO and set codes if you queue with it, if you queue into others using the codes too. What? Set codes, then if you queue with it, you queue into others using the code. What does that mean, Promanicus? So are you saying you can type a code in? We can do a Dear Days progression series for YouTube. I mean, that would be kind of funny. The only issue with something like that is like keeping track, because like it's all well and good if you have like a fresh account. But how does Dear Days work? Like, do you have save files in Dear Days, or do you just have one save file? Because if you have save files and you can start again, then like doing that sort of thing would be quite easy. But if you have like just your account. And, like, everything just gets vomited onto this one place. It's then kind of awkward to keep track of. But yeah, I do like Dear Days. I want to play it. But back to our discussion over here. So what do we think warriors could be? So if it's realistically, it would be another warrior fusion in the same. Well, I suppose it would be a celestial warrior actually. If this will actually load. So if like your group wanted to queue into each other online, you can by creating a group code. Like Dark Souls or like Elden Ring, right? Make a new game. Cards are easy to get to. All right, cool. I mean, that all sounds like bonuses here. So I don't think we're going to get the Sky Savior stuff just yet. I think that's probably going a bit too far. Is it Semi-Tarasu is the one that I was looking at before? Yes, I think we could get Semi-Tarasu. I think this guy could come out. I don't think we could get Kime-Tarasu, but we could get Semi-Tarasu. That's kind of how I look at this. Off topic, but would you like to play a full game of the campaign for North Africa? No. But first off, I don't have Tabletop Simulator. That's my first, like, gate to entry there. Second off, I don't think I have the time to do something like that because that is a vastly time-consuming endeavor, is what you're suggesting there. Do you think it's too early for Polly to come out still as well? No, Polly could come out. Polly will be fine. Kime-Tarasu seems fine. Alright, let's get up Kime-Tarasu as well then. Right, we'll get up Kime-Tarasu. So made using Kime-Tarasu or Kime Ruler and Needlecree. Then took it to the graveyard. Up to 2 face-up monsters on your field can attack directly. So, I just want to say, Octopi, we're saying this looks fine, right? So this makes 2 monsters on your field attack directly. So already, that's a 3,000 direct attack. Which, you know, is already pretty good, right? We are seeing right now in the second best deck in the game, we do have a 3,000 direct attacker. And it's pretty damn good. So now we're saying we get that times 2. Because, now you're not necessarily going to be able to get a second 3,000 attacker out. But it's not going to be too difficult to get like a 2,500 attacker out. So now you're looking at like 5,500 direct attack. Which does seem pretty gross. And the other effect is, this card gains 1,000 attack until the end of your opponent's next turn, which means it goes up to 4,000. Now, without any built-in protection, that on its own is okay, right? It's not insane. We can still get rid of this with like a spell or a trap or a monster effect that just gets rid of cards. But being 4,000 attack is pretty good. It's pretty good. So I don't think Kime-Tarasu is ready to come out just yet, but I do think Semi-Tarasu could. So this one, special summon a level 8 or lower warrior or fairy from your graveyard to your field, or shuffle monsters from your opponent's graveyard into the deck up to the number of monsters with 0 attack in your graveyard. So I think this would be fine. Semi-Tarasu could come out. I don't think Kime-Tarasu is going to, but Rasu. I think Semi-Tarasu could come out though, personally. Are there any 2 good main deck warriors that could let them unlimit ruler? Are there any 2 good main deck warriors that could let them unlimit Yami ruler? What do you mean by that? Do you mean there's going to be a warrior main deck monster that's going to be immediately limit 3? So if you want to play it with Yami ruler, they have to unlimit Yami ruler? Is that what you're implying? So you're asking for main deck warriors that are going to be limited 3. Is, I assume, what we're getting at? Yeah, okay. So, off the top of my head, I'm thinking Gearfried. I'm thinking Buster Blader. Now, the issue with both of those cards is they are not probably going to be wanting to be used in Yami Ruler. So, like, that's a bit awkward. There's the Yami Ruler support card itself that can special summon itself, but it might be too early for that, but it might not be. Well, it might not be. We'll have a look. We'll have a look through. Yami Ruler in the early days in Rush was a tough floodgate for, but the game has evolved long past the point where they could unlimit it. Yeah, I think that'd be fine as well. So this is the first one. This is Guildford. We'll just wait for that to load. I suppose while it's waiting, we'll go and grab like the other ones that I want to talk about. Probably don't need to talk about them. You're probably fine to talk about. I guess we'll talk about you as well. You kind of come out around the same time. You are very important. You... is that everything worth mentioning? Probably? Yeah, okay. So first one, Guildford the Rising. So this card had a deck named after it. It was called Guildford OTK. The gist of the deck is that you summon Guildford, you boost its attack, you give it piercing, and you watch it OTK your opponent. So, so this card cannot be special summoned. 2500 attack, level 8 warrior. During the turn that you normal summon this card, shuffle 2 warrior attack monsters from to the deck. This turn, this card can make up to 3 attacks on monsters. Pro Manicus got hit with the ad. But does that mean everyone's been hit with an ad this time? Who even knows? Who even knows? Well, we'll take a minute to rehydrate, as it were. So Octoti dodged the ad. Now the question is, did Hikari dodge the ad or not? Because that for real could be either. That could be I did dodge the ad or I didn't dodge the ad. Is that Metarian Ashura Star? Whoa, what's he doing here? I haven't changed my emote. I say that I did change my emotes actually kind of recently. I like this one. Hikari is Italian. They're all dodgy. Okay, we're just having that now. So, but yeah, Guildford the Rising. During the turn that you normal summon this card, shuffle 2 warrior type monsters from your graveyard into the deck. 3 attacks on monsters. 3 attacks on monsters with a 2500 guy. If you have a piercing samurai out, that's 25 piercing 3 times. If you can boost this guy's attack a little bit, guess what? It's pretty good. It's pretty good. One of the key cards that was used with this card was a card called Pure Glass. This card, by the way, did kind of break Rushdoll for a little bit. So this card is the problem, really, but it's worth mentioning here. So this is a level 8 Sea Serpent, 25-25. Bearing in mind, a spell card did come out that lets you cheat a Sea Serpent out of your hand, so you just got to like slam it on the field like it was secret ordered onto the board. We can change this card's battle position. So bearing in mind, if you special summon this, you can special summon it in defense. So you would special summon it in defense, change it to attack, so it immediately gets the 2500 attacker. And then this turn, one face-up monster on your field gains 1000 attack. Okay, you know, give that to Guildford. Oh, that's a 3500 attack point monster that can attack 3 times. Oh, and guess what? It also gets piercing. So this thing, you could just turn it sideways, give Guildford 3500 attack piercing on its own, which is like actually insane. It's actually insane. It's been seen that dragons are currently climbing the meta. I would like to counter them by add the other Buster Blader monster. Maybe potentially. Definitely something we could do. Okay. And also not make their skill the most ass restriction that ever existed. You can have one or the other. You can either have more Buster Blader cards or you can have a good skill. You can't have both. That's the Konami logic. If you hit dragons, Psychic are the only tier 1 again. Nah, it's fine. We'll just give everyone Guildford, then that'll be fine. But yeah, Pure Glass is actually busted. This card is actually just nuts. I won a tournament with this card. Like, it's just really good. It's really good. So the next card we'll talk about is Legendary Swordsman Buster Blader. So, this card had a very interesting, like, note when it came out. This was the first non-legend monster that had 2600 attack base. Right? It's so good. Toti are not even able to cope anymore. That's terrible. What are you talking about? Metarian's fine. But yeah, Buster Blader. This card becomes Buster Blader while in the graveyard. Continuous effect. This card cannot attack directly. Gain attack equals the number of face-up dragons on your opponent's field times 500. So this does not gain attack from high dragons. This does not gain attack for cards in graveyards. So it's not insane, but it's okay, right? This card isn't bonkers, but it's pretty okay. Then we got another 2600. This is the only other 2600 I can think of that's a main deck monster that isn't a legend. So So Guildford the Legend cannot be special summoned. During the turn you normal summon this card, equip up to 3 equipped spell cards from your graveyard to a face-up warrior. Now obviously, we're not going to get this yet because we don't have equipped spells. But we'll have equipped spells eventually, right? Hikari gave up. Never. Hikari better save some excuses for Sunday. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens on Sunday. A Psychic should be the only tier 1 after the bullshit they went through early Rush Duel Links. What do you mean? Psychic have had 3 different versions of their deck that have all been playable. So this is the next interesting one. So this is Yami Luna. So this is... I want to say this is new, but this has been out like a year now. So it's actually kind of not new anymore. But if you have a Yami Ruler the Dark Delayer face up on your field, you can special summon this card from your hand face up to your field. Change the battle position of 1 face-up monster on your field. Choose 1 face-up Yami Ruler on your field. While that monster is face-up, it gains 1500 attack and piercing. So, this card's pretty good, right? First off, we can special summon it for free. That's already pretty good. Second, we get to basically boost Yami Ruler by 500 and give it piercing until it leaves the field. Which is really good, right? Basically make it a 3000 attacker piercing that just keeps it. I can see Luna coming at 3. There is some potential. I think compared to the Psychic Fusion deck that we've got and compared to the Dragon Fusion, I don't think Yami Luna is actually that bad. Like it's good. It's a fantastic card. I don't think it is so oppressive that it couldn't come out. So I think Yami Luna could potentially come out. Which, I mean, if it did, it would be here. But then we wouldn't get the Semi-Tarasu. So we'd have to get, like, one or t'other. Or one would have to be, like, a lower rarity. So, like, what we could do is move Semi-Tarasu down. We could put Yami Luna in here. And then do something like this. Like, there's potential for that. The other thing is, we're missing a load of, like, Gavin's main deck monsters as well. Like, there's the guy that gets cards... Yeah, this guy. Mizame, the Ringing Alarm. Like, this guy could probably come out. You normal summon this card this turn, and your opponent has a face-up monster 2500 more attack. Add a level 7 or higher warrior monster from your graveyard to your hand. This turn, you cannot attack with monsters with 1900 less defense to try and stop you from using this with, like, just other warrior decks. This guy could come out, right? I don't think there's anything wrong with this guy. Like, it's a nice consistency tool. It's a plus. Semi-Tarasu seems more likely. I mean, we've still got Semi-Tarasu on the list. He's just now a super rare. Like, which one do you think was more likely to be a super rare, and which one would be a UR, I guess? I think they both could be either or. But I do think Mizame could come out. Add Clayman, Sparkman, Giant. I don't think Clayman's going to come out. I really don't think Clayman's going to come out. You know something that could come out? Wash Sprayer, the Clean Skateer. Why is Wash Sprayer not out yet? You just know, this guy is going to be like a login reward or some shit. But I want it. I want Wash Sprayer, the Clean Skateer so bad. This card actually did see a little bit of play in OCG, but is not going to see any play because it's arguably already too late for this card to come out. They could also give us the Broom stuff. Like, that has a lot of potential. We'd get, like, Broom. We'd get Mystic Sword. Like, that stuff could come out. Fear of the East still isn't out yet. All Luke got was Mirror Gear Star. So one counter argument I would make there is Luke has a lot more boss monsters. So if we go back to our list here already. So Luke still has Meta Gear Star, Zero Gygeus, as well as both the monsters needed to make Zero Gygeus. He has Umbra Lancer F. Like, he has... And, I guess, Kick Base as well. He has a lot more bosses than Gavin has. And his came out in a deck build. And deck builds only have 6 new cards, so it's a lot easier to just give, like, a small number of cards. So, like, there is that. I would love for Chairs to come out. I would love for Chairs. But I don't think it's going to happen. I should probably, like, finagle this over a little bit while we're looking at this. But yeah, I would really, really like Chairs to come out. I just don't think it's going to happen. I think at this point, they're going to wait and give us Chairs at, like, a really weird time. Like, I don't really know what they're thinking. Because, like, they're like... Fish, I get it, right? They're not going to give us fish yet because they're going to wait until we get the fusions for fish. There's no point in giving us all the shit fish stuff when they could give us the shit fish stuff along with the good fish stuff, right? Cats, again, they'll give us the cats when they give us the Go Rush cats. This makes sense to me. Outer space, I don't know when the hell they're giving us this stuff. The outer space stuff is garbage. I don't know why we haven't got it yet. It's just bad. We have the rest of the cleaning stuff. There's like 3 cards we don't have, by the way. There's 3 cleaning cards left. There's Clean Skatir, Bleach Mortar, and Colonel Mop. Those are the 3 cards we don't have. Once we get those, we have the entirety of the cleaning stuff. Again, there's like Magma and Earth Pyro that we still don't have. It's not... It's weird. It's very strange that we are missing so much of that stuff still. And I'm not really sure where they'd slot it in. Is there anything else that I think could come out alongside the warrior stuff? I don't remember what some of this stuff does. Like this guy. Is he in the game? No, he's not in the game. Wandering Warrior. Summon them both and face down defense. Ugh, not a fan. Hello, Cyclone Valley. Welcome, welcome. I want the cleaning deck because it will be the closest to an aquatic deck we'll have. What do you mean we have an aqua deck? Just play Bubble Era. What's wrong with that? That's totally an aquatic deck. During the turn, you normal summon this card. Send the warrior monster from your hand to the graveyard. Set Ruler's Current, Ruler's Deadly Duel, or Ruler's Dance. I mean, we don't like have those. So we'd have to come out with a bunch of the stuff, and he's not very good anyway. I think that's probably it for the warrior stuff. I don't think we'd probably get much more. Because the Jersey stuff has got to come out eventually as well, right? But again, this could also be like a meme deck. Give us Red Boot Trap. It's mid anyways. I mean, potentially. I think they're probably still going to hold off a little bit for that, personally. They're water, but they're all most different kind of fish. So the other thing that we should be getting soon, actually, which I don't actually think I put on this list, did I? Oh, no, I did. Sea Serpents. So we're right at the right time to give us the first wave of Sea Serpents. And the Sea Serpent stuff is actually okay. Like, if we go and take a look at the first wave of Sea Serpents. It's not any of that stuff. So this guy, Sea Dragon King Graganus. 2500 attack. During the turn, you normal summon it, inflict damage to your opponent equal to the number of spell traps on your opponent's field. So that's a maximum of 900, but it's just a 1500 guy. Like, if we got like an okay skill with that, that'd probably be fine. I guess the Sea Serpents are a bit awkward. So there's like Headbutt Cachalot, another 2500. But this is, again, need you to have Umi or Big Umi. So that's, again, a little bit awkward. Leviathan Dragon Daedalus, again, is cool, but we'd need to get Umi as well. So it's like, would you want to give us Umi? Which I guess you probably would. The main reason that the Sea Serpents were good in 7s was their trap card. And they had, I think they had a really good spell card as well. But again, is Konami gonna give us the really cool cards? Like this one, Dolphin Counterattack, genuinely really good. So, when an opponent's monster declares an attack targeting your face-up fish or sea serpent type monster, shuffle Umi or Big Umi from your graveyard into the deck. And this is a running theme, right? We need Umi for a lot of these cards to work. Destroy one face-up monster on your opponent's field with the highest attack. Draw a card and show it. If that card is Umi or Big Umi, inflict 500 damage. So the Umi bit is whatever, but we need Umi to trigger this card, or Big Umi. Popping an opponent's monster is really good, and drawing a card is still really good, right? Tomato wants Sea Serpents because he wants the generic back row pop monster. Oh, you took. I don't think Sea Dragon Knight needs to come out with Sea Serpents. I don't think that. I think that card could just come out in a selection box. They limit that one trap, and no one would play even if it was unlimited. I think this one was also pretty good. Sea Storm Iroquois. So when an opponent's monster declares a direct attack while you have Umi or Big Umi face up on your field, change the back position of all face up monsters on your opponent's field, and then you can special summon a Sea Serpent type normal monster from your graveyard face up to your field. So again, just 2 really good trap cards. Like, they're not like crazy busted, but compared to the quality of traps we have right now, these are really strong. So I'm convinced we aren't getting anything else unless it sucks. I mean, kind of. That's kind of been like the running theme, right? But all it takes is one good card. Like Mirror Gearstar came out, it completely changed the meta, right? What are we missing from here? So currently we've supported 2 old archetypes. I think we'd need another... Probably... Go Rush thing? It could just be another Light Galaxy thing. We haven't had Light Galaxy stuff in a while. So if we were going to get more Light Galaxy stuff, it would probably be... Because we also got a Light Galaxy skill change, right? So that would probably make sense to come out. We want unreleased. I've been using the Limit 1 trap, but I can't say where without spoilers. That's exciting. What do we think? Maybe Reminiscence. Maybe Heliacal Riser. Heliacal Riser, though, is a really awkward card. Because you have to have a face-up spell card. So, like... Heliacal Riser, I think, canonically is the next boss that Udius should get. But, like, you'd have to give you a skill to, like, put a field spell into play. Which just seems so... roundabout, I guess. No, we don't need that anymore. So, Reminiscence. Shuffle a trap card from your graveyard into the deck. All face-up Galaxy monsters on your field gain 400 attack to the end of this turn. Then if you have Galactic Oblivion face-up on your field, you can make all face-up monsters in your opponent's field lose 1,000 attack to the end of this turn. This guy could probably come out. Like, he'd probably be fine. Again, I really don't think we're going to get Heliacal Riser. Realistically. I'm trying to think, like, what else we could get. Because they have to just keep giving us, like, a steady stream of Galaxy cards, right? We won't get equips until Yuna, I think. I actually think we won't get Yuna as a playable character until much later. I think the next playable after MADDOX is going to be Rovian, as in from Go Rush. I think it'll be MADDOX, then probably a Sevens, and then Rovian from Go Rush. That's what I'm expecting. Just because Yuna just uses that guy's deck and then just slaps an equip spell in it. And I just don't think that's enough. And I think it's way too early for Celebros. Like, way too early for that. So I would expect that we're just going to get Rovian. Then we're going to get Lug. And then when Lug comes out, that opens the floodgates for everyone to get their anime fusion cards. And then we'll get Yuna after that. That's kind of what I'm expecting. Well, either Yuna or Phaser. One of those two. Yeah, I think part of me is like, there's no point in releasing this card, right? Like, his effect is he becomes a 26, and then you won't get the draw because you're not going to have a field spell, and we don't have equip spells yet. Did I hear floodgates? Hello there. Now we're long overdue for Tiger. Tiger is next for sure. I mean, from Sevens, yeah, I would love to get Tiger for Sevens. But, you know, if we're talking specifically about Go Rush, I think the next Go Rush character is going to be Rovian after MADDOX. I think Reminiscence is probably going to be the other UR. Does it even need a UR spot? I actually kind of think Reminiscence could probably just be down here. I don't know. Reminiscence just... Like, this card just doesn't scream UR to me. They could give us here, but she uses SRM with Equip's Focus skill. Then they can just add Celebro's skill for later. I feel like there's like almost nothing there, right? Because if you do that, you then push back Rovian by a lot more. Because right, if we go under the assumption, it's going to be Sevens Go Rush, Sevens Go Rush, Sevens Go Rush. By pushing Rovian back, you're now pushing back Equip spells. You're pushing back maximums. You're pushing back fusions by so much. I think you want to try and get through that as soon as possible. So I would say, ideally, it'll be MADDOX, Tiger, then Rovian, then like Yuga Goha, then straight into Lug. And then once Lug is out, we get so many cool, interesting Go Rush stuff between all the different fusions and stuff. That's what would make sense to me. No Rovian, we have enough Psychics for until Worlds is over. The thing is, Toti, the Psychic stuff doesn't play well with each other. So the wind psychic stuff, we go and look at that, which is Rovian stuff, does not play very well at all with the like Rovian psychic stuff. Or the Roman. The Roman stuff doesn't play well with the Rovian stuff. This is like a deck that plays around equip spells and is all about like doing stuff with equip spells. That they don't really mix well. You're not going to see much overlap between them. Now I gotta go. Bye, guys. Have a good afternoon. Thanks for stopping by, Dark Lord. A MADDOX maximum raid event would be huge. Oh, imagine. Imagine. That would be great. That sounds like a year of waiting. Exactly. Exactly. So I think these cards could come out. They're basically not psychic. Like, they are psychic, but they barely overlap with the Roman stuff. And again, you could just slap skills on them which say like you can't use non-wind psychics, or you can't use non-light dark psychics, right? But that's kind of how I look at it. I still think we need more Go Rush in this box. So if we were designing it how we think, I would actually love it if Heartless Hounds came out. Like, so much. But is it too early for Heartless Hounds? We could do Reptiles. I think normal Reptiles would work. The only issue is, Reptiles is a really weird deck, especially like the normal version of Reptiles. Just because this is its boss monster. And how do you make this thing interesting? Like, I'm sorry, this thing's shit. Like, how do you make this cool? How do you make it interesting, right? Asana's skill already limits her to earthworms, so she can't play fireworms. Yeah, which is a bit of a shame. What about early Gaia? Alright, you can make Gaia work. You can definitely make early Gaia work. But you could not have it at full power, right? So you would have to restrict a lot of it. But like, so for example, when it comes to like Gaia, you can just give us the... Is it even going to be in here? You can give us like the field spell, but like not give us any of the ways to easily cheat out the fusions. So, for example, I don't think realistically you could give us Battle Ruler. Where is he? Guy. You can't give us this guy. Guy the Battle Ruler is too good. Like, he's actually insane. And it's not even just the card on its own is good, because the card on its own is good, right? It can attack directly, it can pop a back row. Those effects are good on their own. It's because of how you summon him. That's the issue. Using the Veteran Gaia and Veteran Cursor Dragon make getting him out too easy. That's the issue. Like, maybe not Veteran Gaia so much, but definitely Veteran Cursor Dragon. You could though give us Swift Gaia, right? That would be fine. You could give us like Dragon Curse. I think that would be fine. You could give us like the Catapult Turtle stuff. That would probably be fine. I don't think they're going to give us the traps because Konami hate trap cards. Like the big one is Veteran Cursor Dragon. Veteran Cursor Dragon is so good. This card is actually just so good. Like, special summon it for free. Send took card to the graveyard, becomes Cursor Dragon, immediately fuse it off, is actually just insane. But again, you could give us low power Gaia. I think that'd be fine. Veteran Gaia could maybe come out. Because in order to get it out, we'd still have to get out the Cursor Dragon. So you could, like, normal summon Tribute for Cursor Dragon, Tribute for Veteran Gaia fuse into Swift Gaia. Like, that probably works. We already have Swift Gaia, but it's limit 3. Yeah, this one. I don't know why he's limit 3. It seems so weird to me, but, like, this one. Give it piercing is actually pretty good. But, like, I don't... Like, this is not a UR card. This is... I'm sorry, this is just not a UR card. The more I think about it, the more I think we should release Heartless Hounds and the D and Keto stuff in the same box. And then, like, you're getting too far down, like, the line for it to work out. I do quite like this, though. Like, I do like this as a prediction. I think this is kind of cool. Like, Shadow Flower stuff does make sense. The only other one that potentially could be is Cyburst. But now I'm like, I kind of think this box wants to be half Go Rush. Because, like, the last box we had was Go Rush, and then 2 7s, right? So it was half 7s, half Go Rush. Now, the Light Galaxy stuff in it, there was like 2 cards. But there was still Light Galaxy cards in it, right? It's a weird one. Because there's not like, there isn't like a fixed, like, formula that they follow. So a lot of this is just guesswork. I mean, it's all guesswork for the most part. But we can't just like look at what's happened before and be like, oh, well, they did that, so they're automatically going to do this. But I think it would make sense to have... I mean, the alternative is that we just give us like... Because how cool would it be if they just put extra spice in here? Like, the noodle one. The other extra spice, because they're both called extra spice, which just make it more annoying. Meat spice. No, it's just called meat spice. Because they could just give us meat spice, right? But that is my wish list more than I actually think they're going to do it. But, like, how nice does that look, right? Chemicalized Salamander, Durga, Yami Luna Meat Spice. That would be plant fusion support, actually playable. More noodle support to make it actually playable. Chemicalized Salamander would probably get mixed in with noodles. See, that's the issue. I think if we did release Meat Spice, it would overshadow Chemicalized Salamander too much. And I think that's what they don't want to do. There is usually a non-anime Dex/support too. I mean, let's take a look at, like, Requiem, right? So, for the last box we had... So we had anime. Yeah, all of this is just anime, is the issue. So like this box specifically, which is the latest one, did not have a non-anime deck supported in it. Even the Thunder Fusion stuff was still an anime deck, right? I think the new card UR is Salamander, Hyper Assistant Achi, Semi-Ruler Fusion, and Burst Wingman. Ooh, Burst Wingman. Why do we think Hyper Assistant Archie is going to be good? Trying to remember how to spell it now. Because the issue is there's a bunch of different assistants, which just make it kind of annoying. So you think Hyper... I don't know about Hyper Assistant Aichi, because this one's kind of insane, right? If your opponent has a monster on their field, send this face at card field to the graveyard. For some level 7 high fire, receive hidden grin. Super Assistant Aichi in your graveyard. Actually, that's not bad. Which was the really good one? One of these Hyper Assistants is insane. But this one? Or is it the Super Assistant that's really good? So, a spell trap. This one. Super Assistant Higher. This one is insane. So if you have 10 or more cards in your deck, send a fire attribute effect monster from your hand to the graveyard, draw a card. So cycle. Then you can place all Super Assistant Achi from your graveyard to the bottom of your deck in any order to draw 2 cards. My only thing is, I don't know if I consider Hyper Assistant Achi to be a UR worthy card. Like, I think it's fine. I think it's not even unlikely that it could come out. I don't know if I think this is a UR. I think we'll get just Pyro cards. The thing is, I think it's unlikely we would get just Pyro cards. Because no box does that. The only box that kind of stick to a single theme is like deck build boxes. Dark Galaxy Extender is a UR2. I think there is a difference though between Cataphract and Achi. I think Cataphract feels like it could be a UR. Achi, this looks and feels like an SR to me. I could see Cataphract as an SR as well, though, to be honest. It looks like a Rush Charmer. Seems you are worthy to me. I mean, potentially. I guess the main difference is Cataphract is like almost an automatic 3-of. This card is not an automatic 3-of in my mind. Like, this is cheat out your boss, which is nice. That saves one card. And then sometimes gain 800 attack, which you probably don't even need. You probably don't even need the 800 attack because you're going to be summoning Chemicalized Salamander, and Salamander's effect is going to deal with it on its own. Please wait. Yeah, we can wait. That's fine. Do we cheat out the boss because of its effect? Do we want to cheat out the boss because of its effect? I'm trying to remember if Chemicalize is like... I mean, that doesn't matter. I mean, why would you not want to summon this with the effect, Manicust? Like, it's just one cheaper tribute, right? You send just this instead of summoning 2 monsters and tributing both of them. More cards in grave. So I get what you're saying. I do get what you're saying. I think that you always take the discount, right? Because, like, by the same logic, when you use Bicorn to summon out Steel Metclod Mirror Innovator, you don't want to make the number of monsters in your graveyard lower, but you still do, right? Back, what card do you think is you are? I mean, so... Going from what you were saying earlier, Louise. Also, hello, by the way, Louise. Obviously, we've been chatting for a little bit. I haven't actually said hello. If we take a look at the previous box, right? So, when we got Go Rush came out, right? Go Rush released with Uo. Now, Uo, his box was basically Fusion of Revolution. And we had 2 boxes, right? We had Galactica Go Rush. So we weren't limited to just 1 mini box. We had 2 mini box worth of space, which means we had 80 card slots available. But UR worth, we still only got 1 UR for him, right? Mataria and Asura was still the only UR. So going by history, yes, in Requiem, we did get 2 URs for the new character, that being Requiem and Cataphract. But that, as we've just shown, is not a hard and fast rule. They do not have to give us 2 URs. They just did give us 2 URs one time, right? So, yes, they could give us 2 URs for MADDOX. They don't have to. They don't have to give us any. They will, realistically. You know it, I know it. Everyone knows it. They're going to give us Chemicalized Salamander as UR. But they don't technically have to if they don't want to. But they will, right? 1, 2. Which one was the worm box? So, Heavy Strike. 2. Alright. I will say, you are correct. But, Worms is also a really weird case where you have a maximum and a non-maximum boss monster, because Asaka basically has, like, 2 bosses. But yes, you are right. You are right. Did have 2 URs in the box. I guess the point then becomes... Like, I think Cataphract kind of stands out as being the weird one. Because they could have just given us, They could have done Elysium in the box. And then given us Cataphract as the drop, but they chose to not do that. Just to, like, keep it in theme of giving us as box URs, as being, like, boss monsters. What spell trap we have with said UR? Oblivion and Secret Order. So, first off, that is, like, cheating. Like, Secret Order is a generic card. You can't just say, Secret Order is a, like, Galaxy card. Now, yes, there is a skill that does do it, but I think you are clutching at straws there. I don't think there is enough evidence for either conclusion. I mean, my argument is just we don't know for sure what's going to happen. That is my only argument. My argument isn't we are definitely only getting 1 UR. We are definitely only getting 2 URs. It's just we don't have enough information to know. There's no leaks today. It's too early. Tomorrow. So, what usually we get, Valley, is before we get the actual cards leak, usually we would get some skills. So the hope is tomorrow we'll get like bits and pieces of skills. And then the next leak after KC Cup would be when we get, you know, cards, the skills with the correct names and everything. That's kind of what we're hoping for today. Like, we're hoping for just, like, the bare minimum. The bare minimum. We're not expecting to get, like, a whole bunch of cards. Or, like, the whole box leaked or anything like that. I mean, what I really want is I want Meat Spice. I want the new noodles. That's what I want. Do I think we're going to get that? Probably not. I think Hyper Assistant, actually, though, is not a bad, like, prediction for something that could come out. Because, I mean, we need something, right? Either it needs a really busted skill, or it needs, like, really good cards to come out for it. As much as I really want Meat Spice, I don't think that's going to be a UR. I'm trying to think what other, like, good cards we would even potentially get. I hope no letter from him comes on the 3rd. I hope no letter from him comes on the 3rd. I want to use Pyro Boss Burn in the deck build box. Oh, you want to use Extra Spice? Let's get out my boy. Yeah, I mean, I really like Extra Spice. I really want Meat Spice. Like, I really want this. I really want Meat Spice to come out. But I just don't know if he's gonna. I think it's still too... On one hand, I think Konami don't like him, and that's why they put Extra Spice to 3. And on the other hand, again, I think it would overshadow the MADDOX too much. Because, like, if this came out, why would you play Chemicalized Salamander unless the skill was busted when you could just play this? And that goes, again, for the other one. What's it called? Miso Instant and Cross Promotion. I think we won't see these cards come out, because if they come out, people would play these instead. Salamander 2. I mean, potentially with this Extra Spice, yeah. Anything that's a generic Pyro that could pseudo support Noodle. Like Splame, but we'd need Fusion. Like, Splame is great. Shuffle 2 Pyro-type monsters from your graveyard into the deck. This turn, this card names because of the name of a level 8 or lower monster in your graveyard. So you can use this to basically make either of the Noodle Fusions, but you need the Noodles, right? You need the Noodle Fusions for this to work how you want it to, right? I don't think Salamander is strong enough to be at 3. To be limit 3. I am inclined to agree. I think if it had released like 3 months ago, maybe. With the state the game is in now, with Psychic and Dragon Fusion being as strong as they are, I think I agree, where I don't think Salamander is limit 3 worthy. But I don't think Yami Ruler is limit 3 worthy. And that's still limit 3. So what do I even know, you know? Either was Blue Fang, but here we are. Yes. The difference is, I guess, is when Konami release skills and when they release cards, I think they're doing 2 things. They're basically trying to future-proof them, knowing what they will do in the future. But in doing so, they hamstring the shit out of them, so they feel really bad while you just wait for them to get their new support. When, in my mind, what they should do is release them at full power, because you haven't got the stuff that actually makes them broken yet. And then when you release the stuff that makes them broken, then you add restrictions to skills. You slap limit 3 on them, right? That's how I would do it. But I don't work for Konami, right? So I don't know why they don't do that personally. A Pyro Legend would be a big boost for current Noodles too. Yes. I mean, by the same extension, you could just say Splame as well, right? Not Splame. Hyper Assistant. Because this is basically... This is basically better version of their legend, right? Is Salamangreat going to be meta in Rush 2? Hopefully, Xiaomi. Hopefully. Could you imagine? I mean, I'd really like the new Chemicalized stuff to be good, but also, hello, Xiaomi. Welcome, welcome. You really think they will show the skills tomorrow? Alright. Full disclosure, Louise. I don't think it's likely. Is there a chance? Yes. Is it likely we get them tomorrow? No. But if we are going to get any leaks, they would be tomorrow. Now, leaks doesn't necessarily have to mean brand new cards or brand new skills. It could just mean, you know, sleeves, mats, right? It could be KC Cup rewards get announced, right? It could be anything like that, which would be really, really cool. So I would expect to get some sort of leak. Whether or not it's going to be anything remotely Rush focused, is there a high chance? No. Is there a chance? Yes. And so I will always huff as much copium as I need to pray for more Rush stuff. That's kind of how I look at it. I really don't know what other Galaxy cards they're going to give us as well. Because it's like, I would like to get Jamais Vu, but I don't think we're going to get Jamais Vu yet. I think, again, they're going to wait and give Jamais Vu in like a selection box. It's so good and generic, right? But what other... Give me unreleased. We're not going to get any of the fusion stuff. We already know that. Like, Jamais Vu would be so good. No other monsters in your field during the turn you normal summon this card. Shuffle 2 spells from your graveyard into the deck. Draw a card. Spell recycling is something that we just don't really have. And even in OCG, we don't have a ton of spell recycling. Free draw is always going to be really good. Then we just sack it off afterwards. I mean, like, there's a bunch of, like, bad cards that would be, like, I could be like, oh, man, they might release Tabula Rasa. And it's like, well, yeah, they could. But no one would probably play this card. Because it's a level 5 1500 that requires you to discard specifically a spell card. I don't know. Tabula Rasa, like, give this thing a skill, it could be quite good. Or if you have a skill that, like, lets you get a free body or something. I don't know. Tabula Rasa is a bit of a weird one. I still don't think this card will probably see play. It's too awkward. But, like, there's other Galaxy cards that could potentially come out. I think we're probably not going to get any Dark Galaxy cards for a while. Now, they gave us Galactica Amnesia, so nothing's off the table. True, they did give us a specific skill for Galactica Amnesia as well. And Galactica Amnesia was one of those cards that we actually predicted might have been one of the first to come out. We did predict it was going to come out in the second box as well. A limit 3 ship of 7 and it's 7 associated. Wait, you want them to bring out a ship of 7 treasures? Is that the plan? Because I don't think that's going to happen yet, personally. I would like them to. I don't think it's going to happen. But I do think they want to keep pumping out the boss monsters for Light Galaxy. We don't have Jirai yet. We could get Jirai. The other one is Riker. I'd really like to get Riker out. Where is he? This one. Like, this card is really good. I suppose the question is, if they brought this out, would Light Galaxy be too strong? Probably not, because its cost is fair, right? I think its cost being fair is what makes this card fine to come out. But send a card from your hand to the graveyard, choose a face-up light attribute Galaxy type monster in your field, it gets piercing. Also, if you're transcend with Rhynak face-up on the field, you can change the battle position of one face-up monster on your opponent's field. I think this would be fine. I think back when Light Galaxy was like a top tier deck, maybe not. But now, I mean, compare this to Dragons or compare this to Psychic. Like, I think this will probably be fine now. I'd probably have it as an SR. I kind of like that. I'm still not really sure what this UR spot's going to be. Meteor Charge is a monster, I like it. Yeah, but it's a little bit more fair than Meteor Charge even. Because 1, you have to discard a card to use it. And 2, it can only change the battle positions of face-up monsters. So you can't flip face-downs face-up and get in for just a crap ton of extra damage. And it kind of has a fairish cost attached to it. So I kind of like it for both of those things. They might give us some of the stuff Udius used in his Ragdoll deck. Are we talking about the Tagdoll deck? Because I'm trying to think when he Tagdolled. That was like when he played with that guy, but that's going to be like the fusion stuff. I mean, I don't hate Achi, to be honest. I could also see a bundle for the... what's his name? Legendary Flame Man. Pyro. Legend. Probably this one. Flame Ruler. He could probably be a bundle. Why not? Thank you, Money Chaser, for the follow. I'm not gonna lie, Toti. I don't actually remember what he uses in that tag duel. I remember that guy fuses his guys, like their bosses together. I can't remember what he actually used. The almighty Tomato is streaming. Hello, I see you, I foresee you. Welcome, welcome on in. We are literally just doing like a yapping prediction stream at the moment. Just trying to work out what we think is going to be in the next box. This UR spot is still so difficult for me. I think if we just assume we're getting Light Galaxy stuff, and we can have that as just SR or lower, that does open up this spot. I'll tell you what, just for Louise, we will go ahead and put Hyper Assistant Archie on here. I don't know if we're necessarily going to get it. Just because we would have to get regular Achi, and Achi is fusion material, and we're not expecting to get the fusion stuff yet. Oh right, I forgot Duel Links existing. Yeah, do you just come here just to look at spreadsheets? Because that's what we do. We just love spreadsheets. Tomato, make the UR spot a trap. Generic trap. What would it be, though? What generic trap would be the next thing to come to Duel Links? Because I think if it's generic trap, I would expect... First off, it would be a bundle, right? I could see it being a bundle. Because they hate giving us 3 copies of traps. Like, I mean, just look. Like, bundle. Was Forever Freeze a bundle? It was a bundle, right? It's a special set. I'm going to assume it's a bundle. It's been so long. Obviously, Legends are bundles. They don't really count. Bundle. Like, why was Sword and Shield a bundle? Shiny Shady? Shiny Shady's too good, bro. No way that comes out. I'm a novice, still learning with anime decks. Are you playing Duel Links, Money Chaser? I assume you, since you're in the Duel Links directory, you're a Duel Linker and not an OCGer. What could we get as a good generic? Ascetic Trap Hole. This card did see play. This card still... I don't want to say it still sees play. This card was seeing play like a year ago, year and a half ago, as like a side deck option. So like, this is generic. And it's a trap card. But it's a side deck card, typically. Not really a main deck card. It's an awkward one. It's an awkward one. Yes, Duel Links. So what decks are you playing at the moment, the Money Chaser? You say you're on anime decks. Is that going to be like Light Galaxy? Is that Dark Galaxy? Is that Seven's Road Magician? Is that Dragius? If you play Duel Links, you should rename to Money Burner. You could play Duel Links and not spend a lot of money. I don't spend much money on Duel Links. I think in total, since coming back to Duel Links, I spent about 10 quid, which is not a lot of money. Boost Rescue. Boost. When your opponent normal or special summons a monster face up, draw 2 cards, send 1 card from your hand to the graveyard, you can change up to 2 attached monsters on your field to face up defensive position. Yeah. I mean, there's nothing bad about this. It's fine. It works on normal or special summon. That's already a bonus. Draw 2, discard 1. Means you always get to tailor 1 card into your hand. If you have a trap card that needs a discard, which to be fair we don't have many at the moment, but that now gives you options to use that. It changes your monsters to defense, which again can be pretty good because that, especially right now in the current meta, basically the best decks make all your guys have low attack and can attack you a bunch, so... Varus Rocket Deck. Ah, we are Speedo anime deck. The Rocket Deck is really cool. I assume then you built it because of the deck build box. that had all the rocket stuff in it. Or the anniversary box, right? That had the rocket stuff in it. I personally haven't really played much rockets. I've been playing Dragonmaids a lot recently. That's been my latest kind of splurge on that. I only think so because it can help counter OTK from them and only really affects you. I mean, you're not wrong. How about Universal Destruction? Let's go and have a look. Universal Destruction. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, pay 3,000 life points, destroy the attacking monster. I mean, maybe. So, this card is obviously a double-edged blade, right? It's like a super double-edged blade. Paying 3,000 life points kind of sucks. Destroying your opponent's monster is Sakuretsu armor. That's pretty good. And I don't think this card is, like, super busted, but it's damn good. Like, this would see so much play, right? Like, every deck would play this, unless it's, like, limited alongside something else that you mandatorily have to play. But it is generic. It does work with just about anything. Like, you know, you have life points, you're good to go, right? Let's see if there's anything else that stands out. The problem is most of these aren't actually generic. Like, this is sort of generic. Crisis of the Sacred Tower. This card saw a lot of play back in the day. Which is when your opponent normal summons a level 7 or higher monster, change one face-up level 8 or lower effect monster on your opponent's field to face down to first position. So you could use this to stop your opponent fusing. The big elephant in the room is this does not stop Candy Live. Because Candy Live dodges this on its own, and both of its materials are not 7 or higher, right? Worst version of Widespread? Kind of. But it's more like Sakuretsu armor, because you get to choose what you destroy. You don't have to just pop the highest attack guy. And you could theoretically play it at 3 copies. Which means you probably wouldn't resolve it more than once, but you could draw into it. It's a weird one. It's a weird one. It does help since not much hit level 9 or higher. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, Crisis also doesn't hit 9 or higher, right? You'd have to hit the stuff that gets you to the 9 and highers. Fusion cancel. I mean, maybe. What else, like, stands out? How is that it for traps that aren't released? Did we go past hard defense? Or is the database just massively incomplete? Yeah, there are so many traps just not in it. I suppose it's just not kept up to date. Because there are a load of traps that aren't in here. But yeah, I suppose it doesn't really matter too much. I gotta admit, out of all the cards said, I do quite like Boost Rescue. The only thing is, what usually happens when we do these predictions is we will predict around the current meta. And then we're like, oh, this would fix this. This does this. It's like when we were like, we got to get rid of Essel. We wanted to get rid of Essel because in the current meta that Essel was in, it brought back Dragius. It brought back Mirror Innovator. Those were the 2 best decks in the format. Those are the 2 best cards in the format. Cheating them out for free was actually disgusting. What then happens is Konami just release a whole bunch of other decks, and then Essel basically gets power crept to the point where it barely sees play now, right? So Boost Rescue is the kind of card that helps fix the current meta. But is that going to be the current meta when a bunch of new stuff comes out? Because if new stuff comes out that's just really good, suddenly it'll be like, well, we don't need to fix that meta now because it's now a different meta. But I do like this card. I do really like this card. But again, I think this is going to be like a bundle. Like, I could see this being a bundle more than like an actual card that came out. Yeah, Boost Return is like... I think this is a cool card. The reason I always, like, forget about cards like this is because it doesn't affect your opponent. Like, this is all stuff that happens to you. So, like, I'm always like, well, this doesn't change your opponent to defense. And it's like, well, sometimes that doesn't matter. Now, the issue is, if you're going against, like, Dragiastar, this isn't going to help you out too much there. Because you're going to be like, you summon your Dragiastar? Well, then I will do this. Is Emergency Return a fine trap to add? I mean, it's fine. So this card saw play at the height of maximum format as typically a side deck option. So when an opponent's monster declares an attack, return one face at level 5 or higher monster from your field to the owner's hand. Now, what you would do with this is you would put your entire maximum back in your hand. So your opponent goes Talismanic Seal Array. You go, oh no, my guy is now a wimp. And then you go, nope, my guy's come back to my hand. I get all 3 pieces back to my hand, then I can maximum summon it next turn, right? Tomato, the Pyro aside, what legend do you think is next? Legend. Not released. Let's have a look. Legend Monster is difficult. Because, like Thestalos could probably come out, right? That also kind of fits in with the theme. I don't really think we want Millennium Shield in the game. This one stands out to me, right? Mystical Elf. The only time it's going to be appropriate to give you Mystical Elf as like a bundle is when Celeb Rose comes out. When else are you going to need a light spellcaster? But until this card comes out, it feels really weird to give us Clayman. So I feel like you want to get Mystical out ASAP so that when you do eventually decide to release Clayman, you can be like, well, it has directly power crept this card, but it doesn't matter quite so much, right? What else? Like, monster-wise, it's actually quite difficult. Spells and traps become a little bit easier. We still haven't got card destruction, but I guess with 30-card decks, they are probably worried about mill, so that does make a little bit of sense. Hammer Shot could probably come out. I don't know, maybe Hammer Shot's too good, especially because it will specifically hit lots of things. Final Destiny's just whatever. No one cares about Final Destiny. Smashing Ground, potentially, for the same reasons as Hammer Shot. They're going to have to release Upstart Goblin at some point as well when they give us the Dinosaur Fusion, because that's how it works. Is Riser an option? Riser is currently the best legend monster in the game in OCG, and has been for a long time. So I don't think they would give us one of the best staple cards that's currently in OCG. Yeah, I think it's a bit early for that, personally. I mean, Sakuretsu Armor is quite an easy one to give out, right? This just power creeps widespread. It's a bit boring, but, like, it does just power creep widespread, and the next after that would be Mirror Force or Magic Cylinder, which are absolutely insane legends. Compulsory isn't too bad. Oh, I don't know about that, my friend. Compulsory is very, very new, and it is absolutely incredible into fusion cards, right? The one negative with Compulse is it is awful into some specific decks, and it's useless against maximums. But you can use this proactively, right? When you summon a monster yourself, you can then flip over Compulse and get rid of your opponent's guy out of the way. That is one of the key things of this card, is it's very versatile. You can use this to get things out of the way. You can use it on face down cards. It is really, really good. So I don't think we want to give Compulse. Because again, the issue is when we release new legend traps, it's going to get to the point where it's just going to become the new thing everyone uses, right? I think Sakuretsu, if this comes out, some people would still use Negate Attack, right? Some people would probably swap over to Saku. But I think it would basically just be like, oh, I would now play this instead of widespread, but I'm not going to play this over Negate Attack, right? So either Poly or a Pyro is what I'm sitting at. I think Polymerization would be a really good card to release with the Lug, right? So we get the Lug. We get the Dragius cards. We get his new boss monster, which is the Dragius. We get the Dragiastar. We get the Trinity Dragiastar. And then we get Polymerization to go along with them. I think that makes sense because thematically it's appropriate. It makes sense gameplay-wise, we're getting like a big injection of fusion. We're getting the main fusion character from Go Rush. Like, thematically, it all makes sense to me. Whether or not they will do it that way is a completely other, you know, question. How about Twin Barrel or Copycat? I mean, Twin Barrel could come out fine. Especially if they release more coin-flipping cards, right? Because it just works quite well with them. A lot of us are using Trap Hole at the mode to counter dragons. I mean, yeah, it's little things like that, right? Whereas if Mirror Force came out, are you not using Mirror Force? You're probably just using Mirror Force, right? It's things like that. It's also one of those things where if you're trying to counter dragon, why would you not just use Widespread? Because doesn't Widespread also just counter dragons? Like, they summon either of their dragon bosses, you just get to get rid of it. Like, unless they're very, like, popping off, they get, like, the Mirror Gearstar effect, and they summon, like, a Dragius as well, then you're going to feel a bit bad. I don't know if it's justified to keep giving the legends as bundles, etc. I think they should start adding them to events like lesser ones. I think that's fine, Manicus, personally. They have given us some of them as events, as login events, world release events, stuff like that. Like we got Ancient Gear Golem, Dark Magician. I want to say there was 1 or 2 others. Shield and Sword was part of an event. So like some of them we do get as events, but like they're very rare, right? So the thing is, a lot of the legends that we had were part of like, they were like starter deck like filler. So like that card we were just looking at, Mystical Elf, that was just one of 5 random cards along with Sakuretsu Armor that you could just get when you bought a structure deck. You would get like one of 5 random legends. Yeah, Vorse Raider was a legend UR rank ticket. There you go. So like, there are other ways they can give them to us, but obviously they're deliberately choosing not to, right? But I think this is an okay start. Like, this isn't like 100%, but I quite like this as just as like a thought experiment of like a potential box we could get. Yami Luna, I actually really like as potential here. And I think the Shadow Flower stuff as well also would make sense. I don't know, it just clicks for me. It just makes sense that you would give us this stuff. But again, Baseball would also make sense, but only if you're not going to give us Yuka as a playable character. Like Flame Ruler could be an event card for Monobu, not worth a bundle. Yeah, it's definitely a bit of a weird one, right? Like Flame Ruler is not really a card you'd go out of your way to get. But we have reached the end of today's stream. We have literally done nothing but yap the entire time. I didn't expect to actually be yapping this long. But you know, when the yapping is strong, you can't stop the yapping. You have to just keep the yapping going. But we had a good time. We basically talked for like an hour about Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime, which again, did not expect to do. But you know, when you're talking about the anime, people have opinions and people like to share those opinions. We did our basically breakdown of everything that's been going on. And then we did basically come up with our own idea of what could be in a box, which is pretty good. And when you yap, you can't go back. Exactly. But we will be back again on Thursday. I'm not sure exactly what we're going to do on Thursday. Hopefully we'll get some sort of leak today/tomorrow. We'll see what happens. It might be a bit of hopium, or maybe more like copium, but you never know. You never know. So we will be back again on Thursday where we'll be talking about something. We'll be playing something. You know how it goes. But thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.